No, why would you do that? Get a homeless guy. What are you doing?
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Yo.
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Share.
Hello.
And we are continuing our series of Best of the Years We've Been Alive, and we're at 2014.
Everything is awesome.
No, I thought it'd be funny. Was it funny? No, wait, what did he look like hopping around?
Take your hands off my lobby boy!
Were you rushing or were you dragging? Answer!
Cool girl is hot. Cool girl is gay. Cool girl is fun.
Popularity is the slutty little cousin of prestige.
Where did Captain America learn how to steal a car?
I'm thinking I'm back.
Oh, I'm Sam Jackson, from Jackie Brown.
Hooah!
I mean, I'm not listening to you guys fornicate all night long, thrusting, and pumping. I thought your hip popped out at one point.
That was like only 2 years ago.
The fuck are we going to do after this?
See, here's the thing that's frustrating me the last couple weeks, and it's only going to get worse, is that the closer we get to modern year, the fewer of these movies I've seen. Yeah. Because I've had, 16 years to see what came out in 2000, but I've only had 2 years to see everything that came out in 2014. So I'm ashamed to say there are several in this year that are probably going to be discussed that I haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah, and 2014 was the first year that I was completely away from the movie theater the entire year.
Yeah.
So I didn't see a lot of these small ones that came out, although I've seen most of the bigger ones. But yeah, as 2014, 2015, and this year, it's harder and harder to get to a theater and all that and watch everything like it used to.
Yeah.
So 2014, what immediately stands out to me is the movie that got nominated for Best Picture and was the top grosser of 2014, American Sniper.
Ooh. Somehow a controversial movie.
Yeah. I think the main thing is that his book is one way, and the movie portrays him a little bit more heroically, or I guess, I don't know, a little bit more heroically than the book does, even though he wrote the book or whatever.
Yeah.
Isn't it in the book that he says he just loved killing people, and that's the reason why he was a sniper?
I remember something about that.
And in this movie, it makes him look like he's a conflicted guy. He doesn't want to do this, and he still does it despite that, and he's still amazing at it. So I think that's his own politics got into this whole debate about American Sniper.
Well, and probably Clint Eastwood's politics, too.
Yeah, I would imagine so. In either case, I don't really care about the politics. The movie itself is very good.
I like Bradley Cooper so much in this movie. And I had seen Silver Linings Playbook, but I gained a bunch of respect for him as an actor in this movie. Because whether or not it was the way it happened in real life, the movie makes you believe and feel his conflictedness, right? Because everywhere he goes in the U.S., people know who he is, and they want to shake his hand. They treat him like a celebrity. Yeah. All these other former soldiers, and it makes him so uncomfortable because he has PTSD back to, and of course that one scene, the tense scene from the trailer where he's not sure whether or not he should shoot this kid. It's a kid, right? Yeah.
Because he shoots the first guy who has a bazooka.
Right.
And then the kid just sees the bazooka on the ground.
And goes to he's going to pick it up.
Yeah. And he's like, don't do it. You know?
Yeah.
And everything. That was a perfect trailer. I mean, that immediately was, what got everybody into that. I'm going to watch that movie. And of course it has, and then I guess you can also say, I don't know if there was real controversy about this, but I think it's always controversial when you play war movies as an action movie, as thrilling type of exhilarating type things when it's really a real thing that happened or whatever. But there's a great scene in there where he's got to kill this one guy, and he's however many miles away that guy is, and he's barely able to see him. It is a fantastic scene, even though if it didn't really happen that exact same way in real life. We got to sort of get into that Argo argument again. But that's just one of those things, okay, I know that's not the way it really went down, but still, even so, that's a great scene.
Yeah.
And like Argo, this movie doesn't give enough credit to the Canadians.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It really, that was a thing. That was another part of the controversy that we didn't talk about.
It's interesting watching Bradley Cooper's career trajectory. I really think he has David O. Russell to thank for, his latter-day success, because he was such a pretty face, and he was funny. He was great in the Hangover movies, or the first Hangover movie.
Yeah. And he was almost typecast as the aw shucks boy next door from Alias.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing that blew my mind, because I knew him from Alias for the longest time. And then when he started showing up in movies, I was like, what is this asshole doing?
Yeah.
What does he think he's doing? I mean, he's not going to be able to break that Alias
and
stuff.
The Hangover did it in a big way for me.
Yeah.
That was because he was an asshole in that movie.
Yeah.
And that broke the mold finally for me.
Yeah, I mean, he was a lovable asshole, and then he was a super asshole in Wedding Crashers. And then now he's just this prestige actor that gets invited to the BET presentation in the White House. But I mean, he's incredible in this, and he it's almost a breakout, even though he had a previous breakout in the Silver Linings Playbook.
This movie was his, I think, stepping into the A-list actors society,
Clooney territory. Really?
Yeah. Well, I think he's almost there.
Yeah.
The Rocket Raccoon doesn't hurt.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and Sienna Miller.
Yeah, I was about to say, she is unrecognizable in this.
She's a great actress.
I watched this whole movie going, who is this?
Yeah.
Who is this?
Yeah.
I'd seen Sienna Miller in several, hundreds of movies.
Yeah.
And I was just like, who is this? Who is this? And finally, about 3/4 of the way through, I was like, I think this is Sienna Miller. I think this is Sienna Miller. And she's amazing in it.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
It's the same type of thing that we had at La La Land when Tom Everett Scott shows up at the end. And he looks like an aged version of Tom Everett Scott, and we were both thinking, like, is that him? Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, I think that's him.
Yeah, and she had a great year this year, because she was also in Foxcatcher as well. So American Sniper was the biggest hit. We can also go straight to Guardians of the Galaxy, since that's another Bradley Cooper, but he's an animated fox, and
he had a pretty good
animated raccoon.
He had a pretty good box office year.
Yeah, he did.
Guardians of the Galaxy is really fun. And I think this is the same year Winter Soldier came out.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm going to talk about both at the same time for a second and say I didn't hate them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we talk a lot about how much we didn't like Winter Soldier as much as the masses.
Right.
But I still give it a B, right? B minus. I didn't think it was terrible. Same with Guardians of the Galaxy. I actually like this one a lot more than Winter Soldier, but I still don't want to sex it like all the Marvel fanboys do. Like, I don't think it's the next Star Wars and all that stuff that people were saying around the time of its release. But I really find it enjoyable, and a lot of it has to do with the lead, whose name I just blanked on.
Yeah,
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. I mean, it taps into the second half of the Avengers that we were talking about, the fun part of the Marvel movie. Even at the climax, basically, it turns into, like, he mimes a dance battle. Dance off, which is great, man. Like, that's the kind of tongue-in-cheek look at superheroes that made Marvel enjoyable in the first place. It's the whole differentiation between that and something like Batman versus Superman. Have some sense of humor, self-awareness.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy is the reason why I think Marvel should be able to take more risks than they do.
Yeah,
they all, the classic thing about Ant-Man and everything with Edgar Wright and all that is that it wasn't enough. It wasn't Marvel enough. So they had to go and, make sure that it was looked like everything else and all that. But Guardians of the Galaxy, I mean, that you saw the trailer the first time, you're like, okay, well, that'll be a Marvel movie that doesn't really hit.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be kind of funny or whatever. And then it just goes to show the brand itself is so, amazing that people will go give it a chance. The same thing goes for Ant-Man. And I just wish just once they would say, okay, awesome director that we got to hire, we hired to do this, do your thing, because our Marvel name is bigger than anything that we make it look like. And that's why I thought Ant-Man could have been a big, like huge departure from all that other stuff. And instead it's just, okay, I see some things here and there. We'll get into more Ant-Man on the next week, but but Guardians of the Galaxy is the proof to that.
Yeah.
And that's why I wish more movies could be like that in this universe.
Yeah, and they have a really good ability to find the right leads. Obviously Robert Downey Jr. was plucked from, his downward spiral to be an Iron Man. And Chris Pratt, who is most famous at this point for Parks and Recreation, getting all jacked.
Yeah.
And what a great, engaging lead. And then they struck gold with Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk and everything. And even Black Widow, you could take, say it was a good casting choice. So, they're on point with it. I keep making the comparison to DC, but like Henry Cavill as Superman is, I just don't buy it. Yeah. And there's no humor, there's no wit, there's no of that Christopher Reeve type of Superman. This is just much more enjoyable because of the main characters, I think.
And let's not forget, they got Vin Diesel again to do voice, which he was great in Iron Giant. And he really didn't sort of do that. I feel like Vin Diesel could have made a whole living, a side living from just doing this voice acting work. It took him forever to finally just be the voice of Groot in this and everything. And it's 2 out of 2 for me as far as being awesome, animated voice. It's not much of a departure from Iron Giant because he's still, doesn't say much, but but it's still great.
Well, and I think if you didn't know Bradley Cooper was the voice of the raccoon, I don't think you'd peg it because it sounds different than the way he normally does when he talks. Anyway, so I really like it, and I hope that my only concern, like the trailers for Guardians 2 are outstanding. And I hope it keeps going in this direction. I'm so concerned that they're going to try and merge with the Infinity War movies from the Avengers, that it's going to homogenize the Guardians that, we got this time out. I hope not, because I know they love James Gunn. I know they're letting him have rope, and I know that he hasn't even decided yet, but they're trying to get him to sign on to direct a third one. So my gut tells me this will keep going in this unique, fun direction. But I really like that one.
Yeah. It's interesting that this was the movie that they introduced Thanos in. I don't know if they knew it was going to be the success that it was.
Well, he had a credit scene at
that's right.
At the end of Avengers, but I know this is the first time he was actually shown as a character, I guess.
Yeah, and that was the one point that almost took me out of the movie because he's so cartoony. It basically took any of the features that Josh Brolin has, that big face and the chin and everything.
Yeah.
They're like, let's put some CG on that shit and make it even more goofy. Not to say that Josh Brolin is goofy looking, but
no. Anyway, should we stay on Marvel for a minute and talk Winter Soldier?
Go for Winter Soldier, man.
Not bad. I don't think it's the best Marvel movie, like almost everybody seems to think, at least until Civil War, and I also don't think that's the best Marvel movie. I don't think it's quite the spy thriller it sets itself out to be, but I'd give it a B minus. I don't hate it. It's just, kind of there for me. This universe, at least the Captain America films more than the others, feels so sterile. It feels so fake and harmless, and I struggle to connect to that. And, just because... What, you give me a Robert Redford is evil twist, I'm going to call this a great spy movie? I don't really understand.
Yeah, his presence in this movie, I think, I don't know if that's how the filmmakers, the Russo brothers, came out and said this is a spy movie or whatever, but or a paranoia thriller like we saw in the 70s, because Redford was in a lot of those in the 70s. I don't know if they're responsible for that, but that was all the story I heard about this is kind of like those paranoia thrillers. And I watched it under that sort of thought process, and I was just like, no, it's nowhere near that at all. You're comparing this to 3 Days of the Condor, and no, it's not.
Yeah, right.
It's not that.
That's exactly what happened.
You have a flash drive.
That's what you have.
Right. That's it.
This movie was so built up for me because you could tell that they were at least trying to go for something that was, with both of these films. They were going for something that, we hadn't seen before. And they mostly succeeded, but I was just so excited. And I left the theater and I was like, everybody loves this. Meh.
Yeah.
Am I a bad person for thinking meh?
And there were so many things involving. So Toby Jones plays Zola in this, and there's so many things. I don't like the fact that he's in this bunker, basically just waiting for somebody to come in and see. And he just. unearths all the secrets? Why would you do that? Why would you? I don't care if you're going to get bombed later. Don't you know that these guys are superheroes? They get out of this shit all the time.
Black Widow has a gun.
Yeah, she does. She can get out of anything. But like, I got really upset when they said he went back and found Bucky after he got thrown off that fucking train in the first one. It's like, first off, you barely even know who Bucky who Bucky was. You didn't even, I mean, he was just a random guy getting thrown off the train in that sequence. You weren't like, oh, Captain America really loves Bucky. Yeah. I'm going to go all the way through the mountains to go retrieve his frozen body and turn him into a super soldier. No, why would you do that? Get a homeless guy. What are you doing?
And then in Civil War, they show all these other assholes that have been training up too.
Right. And I was just like, no.
Well, and that Bucky shit becomes so important to everything in this Marvel universe, right? All of Civil War is still about Bucky and whether or not he's evil and how much Captain America loves him. And I'm hoping at least one of these movies he can pick a side and stay there.
And again, I didn't respond to these action scenes at all. Had a hard time with those things. They're still confusing to me. I'll never get what I want, by the way. I know that for a fact. I'll never get an action scene that's constructed where I can see everything and there's not 50 million edits going on.
And they're still punching each other.
Yeah.
Just, randomly. What did they hope to accomplish?
Well, and then there's a point where Captain America's in a bus and he's getting every bullet that goes in there misses him and everything. I don't like that. I'm sorry. It just doesn't resonate with me. But like you said, there's enough good in it to say, okay, it's a decent movie.
Yeah.
But not like, oh, that's the best of all time.
I don't even know how the collective fan base decided that, because I see the same kind of thing I see in the Avengers and Age of Ultron and Civil War. I don't hate it. Yeah. It's not a bad time, but I'm not going to whip out my dick and start playing with myself about it.
Like we do in most movies.
Right. Obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very distracting during La La Land, by the way.
It very, very much is. You can't do that in a sold-out place. It's not like I'm sitting there watching it like it's Transformers and you're just like, your head just starts like falling off your neck because you're just like, oh my God, this is so bad. I can't stand it. It's more just okay. And it's just decent. I think I'm always being told this is more than it is.
Right.
And that's the problem. And maybe if I could just have watched this organically and not have any hype before it or whatever, would have been a little bit of a different situation. So.
Speaking of Transformers, had another one of those movies in 2014.
We sure did.
The Mark Wahlberg one.
Yes.
I don't really remember this movie at all.
It's awful.
I watched it when we sinned it. I hated it. And now it's gone.
There's about a 10-minute scene where a guy proves to Mark Wahlberg that the relationship he's in with his daughter doesn't violate the statutory laws.
That's right.
There's about a 10-minute. No, it's probably less than that, but it feels like 10 minutes because they're sitting there talking about like Texas code and all this other stuff.
I forgot about that.
And it was like, yeah, I didn't really care about this to begin with, but now that you brought it to the forefront, it's really fucking creepy, man. And now you're coming out with all the laws. Like, can you imagine, like, if you were like dating somebody, like, well, look, it says here in the law in this book here, I can date this girl. You know,
it's like in State and Maine when the Agent Coulson guy is making accusations about Alec Baldwin. David Paver comes down with a book and starts rattling off. And it's like, you travel with the rape statutes?
yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. That was a video that we ended up having to cut into two because it was 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And there were moments where you're like, well, maybe I should cut this and cut that and whatever. And then finally just realized, no, it's really that bad.
We also did a bunch of bonus rounds.
We did a bonus round for the flags that were all in it.
Yeah.
And then I think the explosions. And I think once we realized it was going to get to 2 videos, that we just went ahead and went bonkers on the bonus round with it. It's just a shitty movie. And then they're making this other one.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of Chris Pratt, 2 movies ago, the Lego Movie also came out. So this was a big year for Chris Pratt and Bradley Cooper.
What a fantastic movie this is.
Yes.
And more proof that every time we roll our eyes at a terrible announced movie, we should remember things like this or the first Pirates of the Caribbean. Because I rolled my eyes hard when I saw they're making a Lego movie, and then they got somehow the perfect guys to do it, Lord and Miller, and the perfect voice cast. They went over the top with the wackiness. The humor is just winning, and then at the end there's that gut punch of heart when Will Ferrell shows up and has that moment with his son. Oh my god, I love this movie so much. I could watch it anytime.
It's super ridiculous and fast, just like so quick with everything. The scene that always makes me laugh is when the Allison Brie unicorn character,
Unikitty,
is like in that boardroom meeting or whatever, and she's like basically wasting all everybody's time, and then like I can't remember what she asked them to do, but they're all like, well, say yay or nay or whatever, and they're like yay, and she's like yay, and it cuts her off right in the middle of that yay, and it cuts straight to the next thing. But like every story they tell, like just everything's like. It's so quick, and when you watch it, you watch it multiple times. You catch a whole bunch of stuff you didn't catch before.
I think the biggest laugh for me is early on when he first sees Wild Style and he's in mid-sentence and it just goes for like 20 seconds. It just goes on and on, and I know it's coming, but it surprises me every time.
And I love how she just makes a super point to like, I have a boyfriend and it's super serious and everything.
Hey, who turns out to be Batman?
Yes.
Oh, when Batman gets into the Millennium Falcon and he's like, babe, I gotta have space. Amazing. What this does though is taps in, we were talking about in the last episode, tapping into your child and everything. I played the fuck out of some Legos when I was growing up, and the way that they put this all together and where you build things and you're master builders and everything, there's always a way out by building. I love that so much, man. That just hits me right in the heart.
And the hilarious Superman hates Green Lantern. Green Lantern is like a little puppy dog following him around. Like everything has touches of humor in it that a lesser movie would just ignore.
And it's got the minor characters like Charlie Day doing Benny the Spaceman, and that whole montage at the end of him screaming "Spaceship, spaceship!" I mean, I was rolling in my seat with that. It's so great.
Well, and it sets up great for this Batman Lego movie that's coming out. And Will Arnett, of course, is obviously perfect to play.
And Galifianakis is pretty good pick for the Joker, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm all over that when that comes out, because they built a pretty good brand with that first movie.
Yeah.
But it's so funny and so good.
Maybe the Emoji Movie will be just as good.
I hope so. They have talented people working on that.
I will round out the top 10 in box office here. Number 2 was Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1.
Boo.
Another movie that did not need to be 2 parts, but, money. Then The Hobbit, The Battle of Five Armies, talk about
even more.
Talk about, and we've already talked about that. And then there's Maleficent, which is the another Disney, like, let's take a twisted look at an old fairy tale and from her perspective and all that.
What's funny though?
Didn't like that movie.
You didn't like it at all? I thought I went into this with the lowest expectations.
Yeah,
I was a little bit pleasantly surprised. It's not a good movie. It's not a great movie, but it was a little better than I thought it was going to be.
It's basically like, and I think I might have said this before, but it's like we might have even put it in the Sins video. It's like they saw the success of Wicked and said, who do we have in our roster we can do that with?
Yeah.
And they went with Maleficent. And they're going to make a damn sequel to this movie.
Yeah. Speaking of Marvel, but not in the MCU, X-Men Days of Future Past came out, which I thought wasn't very good.
Oh, really?
I'm also not high on it. I would actually probably rate Winter Soldier a little higher than this.
I agree with that.
A lot of people really like this because it reset X-Men, and it basically said those Wolverine movies didn't work, didn't matter, and X-Men 3 didn't really come out anymore and everything. So I didn't like it. It was another one of those where it's just too much going on all at once. And
there's
too many characters. Too many everything.
How many times am I supposed to be awed by seeing Magneto pick up a structure that humans can't lift?
Oh,
right.
my God.
That's the thing.
I've seen it a bunch.
And this is that cast that we love from X-Men First Class, married to the other X-Men cast and everything. But man, oh man, so much stuff.
That's the problem, is that these X-Men movies, the first X-Men and then First Class, had a lot of characters to deal with, but not too many to where it got overbearing. And they did a really good job of keeping that balance. And when you mash those two together, you're going to have a too many hero, too many villain situation on your hands.
Plus, this is another movie that taps into my like time travel, like bullshit meter. Like, I don't understand why the things that happen in 1960s are concurrent with the things that happen in the future. Like, shouldn't, like, as soon as you send, like, Wolverine back, everything's done? Because now you're back to, I mean, isn't that the way, that's the way I see it.
No, they have to wait in that cave or whatever with her holding his brain in suspension the whole time he's in the 60s.
Right.
It's now weeks.
Now, maybe that's what they're saying, is that because she has to hold him there, that's the reason why everything's concurrent. But if you're changing the past, don't you change the future automatic? I feel like you change the future automatically when you do that.
Yeah, I mean, if it's on an endless loop kind of conceptualization that, you know, we had to have this memory implanted into our brains to be able to go back and change it, and that is the actual reality, and that is fixed. They're going to succeed in doing this. But yeah, I don't think they really conceptualized it like that.
I mean, for a movie to work, it has to do that. Look, I'm not being stupid here.
But it's bothersome.
But it bothers me every time when like stuff in the past is concurrent with the stuff in the future, and it doesn't make sense to me.
I do love that first moment Wolverine whips out his claws and looks down to see that they're bone instead of adamantium.
Yeah.
That's just a great moment.
That is a great moment.
So it's not without merit.
No.
It's just not as much fun as the previous one and not anywhere near as bad as the next one.
Yeah. It does give us the first of probably many Quicksilver moments, which was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
God, yeah.
That's the best part of the movie.
I mean, Evan
easily.
Peters is talk about casting, man.
Yeah.
That is a great casting decision. And the way that they shoot it and the way that they edit it and everything is just so cool to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the best part of the movie. And it's just one of those things where, like, I wish they would just go ahead and make the Quicksilver movie. You know, they've got to be thinking about that, right? Somewhere they got to be thinking. But every time Quicksilver's in any of these movies, even in the MCU, they're like, let's find a way to get this very powerful character out of the way so that he doesn't, because he could really just change this whole thing by himself, probably.
It's like the Peter Petrelli problem when Heroes had on the TV show. Once they basically gave him every power known to man, they're like, well, fuck, no one's going to be able to defeat him. Let's strip him of all his powers.
Right,
You just made a Heroes reference. That's awesome.
I did. Man, the first season of Heroes had so much promise.
Oh, so good.
I never lived up to it, but it had so much potential.
What a great cast, too.
Yeah. Rounding out the top 10, Big Hero 6.
Great movie.
Yeah, very good. This continues Disney without Pixar being good in the computer animation department. I still believe that Lasseter gives all the good stuff to them now, and Pixar gets shafted.
Might be the case.
But this is great, and another a voice from a guy named Scott Adsit, who's been in like a ton of stuff. Mr. Show was one of the last ones that I remember, whatever, but he was also in 30 Rock. But another guy that you don't really think about as a star or anything like that. He's the big...
he's the voice of Baymax?
He's the voice of Baymax.
Oh, man.
Well, and like Guardians of the Galaxy, this is based on a very recent comic series that few people before the movie had much knowledge of.
Yeah.
Boy, it shows you how many different ways you can succeed adapting comic book and hero material, right? You put Guardians, Winter Soldier, if you call that a success on some level, and then Big Hero 6, like just wildly different approaches.
Yeah.
This movie I didn't actually catch in theaters. When it came out on home video, my wife was like, let's check this out. And I was just charmed. I think that night I tweeted out a gif of Baymax doing the fist bump because I was just giggling so hard and haven't seen it. It's very charming, short and sweet. it doesn't hold up in the Sins video context, but I love the merging of Japanese culture with San Francisco architecture and land layout. It was a very cool kind of future-looking place.
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Yeah.
No, it's a very emotional movie, too. It's got a lot of Iron Giant overlays and everything, but... Yeah, I saw this with my son, and we were both crying by the end. I was like, God damn it! Why do you have to do that?
All right, but there are a lot of like pretty good big movies that came out. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which I loved Rise, and I was like, I'm going to be a little skeptical about the sequel coming out and everything, but man, they hit it out of the park again, and it's another great one.
It really is, and they got somebody just as good as Andy Serkis to hold their own against him, and the guy that plays Koba with the motion performance capture. He's evil, of course, so you don't root for him quite as much, but performance-wise, you really feel the rise of Koba's evilness, and then the relationship and what drives them apart. It's weird. I've seen this movie a bunch because HBO was running it like crazy for several months. And I think my favorite moment in the entire movie, even above that spinning tank shot, which is incredible, is that quiet moment right after they get the dam turned back on. And the guy starts playing Take a Load Off Annie in the gas station. And they're all hearing music for the first time in so long. And it's just such, I'm getting goosebumps right now. Because everyone in that scene acts perfectly as the way you would if you hadn't heard music in ages.
Yeah, it's Toby Kebbell or Toby Kebbell that did Koba. But you're right. It's another guy who's really, I mean, that's two great like adversaries, facing off on that. And I love the fact that they have differences of an opinion. Like it's easy to do. I mean, I don't know. It's easy to imagine that, oh, well, they're all going to have the same, they're all going to be against humans or whatever. But, they have the fight. They were like, there are a lot of great humans and everything. It's like, no, all of them are bad. We got to kill them all, and everything like that. Great conflict.
Why can't, this is a smart movie. It's looking more deeply into how these things would go down in an entertaining way. Versus something like a Transformers movie where it's like, hey, we're going to have some more robots with some manufactured conflict with humans. And let's just throw it up there and see what happens. Like, they think a little bit more about this, and it makes it so much more of a success.
Well, and they give you a reason to see why the characters would do what they do, right? Like, Koba's story goes back to Rise, where he's abused and mistreated in that facility. But even Jason Clarke versus Gary Oldman's, you can kind of sympathize both ways. And I think that's what makes it a richer experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that movie. All right.
Well, Jeremy mentioned Zach Galifianakis recently, and he was in Birdman this year.
Yep, that won Best Picture.
That won Best Picture. What did you guys think about Birdman?
I love Birdman.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I liked Birdman. I did not love it. It's so weird.
It is so... You know what it is? It produces, that first hour in particular is so fast that it's almost anxiety producing. Like there's no break, there's no letdown, and some of that is because of the whole continuous shot mode that they're going for the whole thing. And it won for best cinematography too, because that is amazing. I mean, of course they had a lot of tricks on how they did it and everything, but when it finally slows down a little bit and you get Michael Keaton a little time to really break things down, especially towards the latter half of the movie where he's sitting and he's taking a break and talking to Emma Stone, his daughter, and he's just like, I haven't slept in at all. And it's, it's a movie about movie making and acting and playmaking and stuff like that, which is obviously popular with the Academy. But overall, it's just a huge win for me. It's just really nerve-wracking to get through.
How much of this works because it's Michael Keaton playing the role and he was iconic as Batman? And so there's a real-life backstory parallel to his character's backstory.
I think it's something that adds to it, but I don't necessarily think his Batman experience makes this movie any better or worse. Okay. I think it's a fun thing to look into because obviously he was Batman and here he is playing Birdman or whatever. And like even in the original Batman, Joker says something about, oh, there's the Birdman. Getting beyond the you could call it a gimmick of the continuous shot and everything. I just like all the performances of this. This is just a performance piece, basically. It's not really a story piece.
Is Ed Norton playing the impression we all have of Ed Norton?
So. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
Like, do you think it was a knowing thing for him where he was like, I'm going to finally be what they all say I am? Or do you think it was just kind of oblivious to him and he's just playing an asshole?
I don't think he's oblivious.
No. And this movie is so self-aware. One of the parts that I love about it is how many casual references to actual Hollywood that they make. It just like, when they start trending or something like that, they're like, oh, we're going to give birth to Justin Bieber here.
Yeah.
When he's going through, he's like, get me this actor, get me this, give me the guy that was in the Hurt Locker. Who was that? Jeremy Renner. Oh, yeah, okay, give me that guy.
Yeah. But Jeremy's right. This movie is very weird, especially towards the end when he's like, he's on the top of the building and the one woman's like, are you making a movie or is this real? He's like, it's a film. And then he just flies off. But the thing is, I always feel like all the fantasy stuff in this, and this is just me, I feel like that really is in his head. And especially in that scene, because by the end of it, if you notice, he flies down to a sidewalk or whatever, and he goes into the theater, and a taxi driver comes out and says, hey, you didn't pay, man.
Exactly.
And I feel like all that stuff that we see that's fantasy is just him thinking of that. And
I think
wishing he could be Birdman.
Yeah, because that's where he breaks. That's after like he's just been drinking and going crazy all night, falls asleep on that stoop.
And even by the end of it, where he apparently flies out of his hospital room, and Emma Stone looks up and smiles and everything. That's still, I believe, him thinking that. I don't think that has Yeah, you can interpret it both ways. I'm pretty sure that's the way they made this movie, so that you make it sound like, okay, maybe he really was Birdman.
That's exactly what they intended. Or what Alexander G. Iñárritu says is that he wanted to leave it up because it actually went through a rewrite. There was a original ending had Michael Keaton on Charlie Rose, and it panned back to Johnny Depp putting on the wig to play Michael Keaton playing that. So it was all very weird. But my interpretation, we've already spoiled it. But my interpretation is that he died on stage, and that this was like a death dream, because you see that meteor going up and everything, and that all this, like, he's a raging success, and he's got his daughter back and everything resolved, and it's making peace with everything.
Absolutely.
And when he flies off, that's basically
I'm such a sucker. I'm such an optimist.
Yeah,
like I see that shot with Emma Stone looking outside and having that wonder on her face. And I look back and go, I think the filmmakers wanted me to think it was fake and wanted everybody around him to think it was fake. And then I feel like that last Emma Stone shot is the filmmaker saying, but what if it was real?
Yeah.
And that's enough for me to choose to interpret the movie as though he was Birdman, even though it's the exact opposite of the way you guys see.
Well, no, I mean, because you can watch it both ways, and I love it either way. Like, I've seen this probably about 3 times, and each time I feel differently every time that I watch it. And, it's so great. I just love that there's a piece of movie making out there in this year that challenges you to think like that, instead of just saying like, here we go.
Yeah,
something
I don't
like
have
Inception.
any problem with it being Best Picture winner, and I can see it as artistry. I just didn't fall in love with it. I liked it.
I think had American Sniper not had the controversy, quote unquote, that it had, it would have easily. In fact, I'm surprised it didn't. Ultimately, when it all comes down to it, it made the most money. It was the biggest high profile Oscar, but yeah, I mean, it is an amazing, that's a different kind of movie for Oscar to pick as Best Picture, and I'm glad that they did. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who hate Birdman, and it's just too weird and whatever, and I mean, that's your...
No, it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
I do love Edward Norton's performance in this.
Oh, he's so good.
He is balls out, man.
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah.
Good.
Absolutely. Almost literally balls out.
Yeah, he's several times his balls out.
He's like telling Naomi Watts, let's really do it. Do it on stage.
He gets out of the bed and he's got
the huge heart on.
And then Michael Keaton comments on it. He's like, you really think it's huge?
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Whiplash.
Yes.
Yes.
Man, this movie surprised me because I guess I just avoided details somehow. And so I went in after award season expecting 2 great performances and a story about an overbearing band teacher. Mm-hmm. And that's what it is for about 4/5 of the way through. And then the ending blew my goddamn mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To the point where I'm not even sure I want to spoil it, except that it is a roller coaster of an ending that surprises you twice, I think.
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a guy, Damien Chazelle, who I believe is, along with Denis Villeneuve and all these guys that have emerged in this decade, they're going to be our next guys that we look forward to everything that they come out with. This movie is so intense, and that's the thing that everybody who saw the movie would come out and they would tell me, like, yeah, the intensity is what they remembered the most, especially the very ending of this movie. It's J.K. Simmons is great, but it's honestly not too far from other characters he's played before.
Sure. Yeah.
I think he's more of a dick than he's ever been, but this is J. Jonah Jameson, but with with less comedy.
Yeah.
And even though there are times you'll still want to laugh because it's just the way it's so unreasonable. So unreasonable.
Well, what's crazy is I was in I'm that much of a geek. I was in band and chorus when I was in high school and in college. And I had a few music directors that were not nearly as crazy as this guy, but had some of the same traits, like that intensity, that attention to detail, that mockery of you if you don't do it right. So much so that half of the chorus one day walked out of class. This is in high school. Mr. King, fuck you. Maybe cut that out.
I hope you don't. It was awesome.
But anyway, I've been around this type of personality so much in that context that it resonated with me, and the way that Miles Teller plays it off and where it drives him simultaneous to destroying him is just so compelling to me. I love this movie so much.
He's really I think this is a super relatable movie despite being a very specific, very few people are good enough instrument players to ever be in a band like this, even third chair or whatever. This is the cream of the crop, right? But we've all had an overbearing teacher or chorus or coach in sports, right? He's like basically Bobby Knight.
Yeah.
Only in the world of, small jazz bands or what have you. And he just berates him. It's very Swimming with the Sharks-esque for several moments, to the point where, the movie probably could have had Miles Teller abduct him and torture him, and I wouldn't have necessarily minded.
Yeah, and when he's putting these guys, he's got a scene where 3 drummers are all trying to get this part, and it's never about whether or not they're getting it right, even though he's telling them, "Oh, you're off on this, and go to the next person, whatever." They're all getting it right.
He's just fucking
they're playing like half a measure. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. And it's more about breaking them down and making sure that they're not you got the big ego and everything, and make sure, and they always have to think that I better play as best as I can, or else there's going to be another guy right around the corner.
Yeah.
And everything. It's what I love about this character. I would never want that character as a teacher, but you can see the whole. I love that there's nothing worse in the English language than the words "nice job."
Yeah.
He wants you to be constantly excellent and never ever think that you can slide back, and that's what is amazing about this character.
Yeah, he doesn't think he did anything wrong.
No,
he drives this ostensibly. He drives this kid to suicide, and even though it shows him being emotional about it and everything, and feeling some sort of regret, not blaming himself at all. And when he gets fired and everything, he is completely self-justified, so much so that he doubles down on it.
Yeah, basically.
But I mean, just seeing that kind of perspective, that scene in the club where he says that, no worse words in the English language, really says like, all right, you could actually see where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, nice to see Paul Reiser again.
Yeah,
oh, he's great in this.
He's got a very small part.
Yeah.
He's playing Miles Teller's dad. But when I saw the movie, I was like, Yeah, where's he been? I haven't seen him in like a decade.
Living off his Mad About You royalties.
Yeah, but that's plenty of money.
Yeah.
While we're in this Best Picture section, basically, we can go through a few of these. The Imitation Game. Benedict Cumberbatch is great in this. And this is not just like, fanboy on Benedict. I never was like, I've watched the Sherlock series since he's become popular and everything, so I've never been like one of those like, oh, he's so great because of Sherlock and everything he does is magic. When I watched The Imitation Game, he's just really good in this, and that's an interesting story. Like that's just I've never heard that story before.
Is this about the breaking a code in
it's
World War II?
And it's
Turing?
It's Turing. It's Alan Turing.
Yeah.
So Benedict Cumberbatch plays Alan Turing, and you've heard of the Turing? What is it in Ex Machina?
The Turing test.
The Turing test, where they're trying to basically test whether you can tell if it's a robot or not.
Right.
But in this, he's trying to break these impossible German codes that have like millions and millions and millions of characters, and they've got like 12 guys sitting there like trying to. Each day, every day, they're like, what could it possibly be and all that other stuff. And he invents a machine to try to work. It's basically like what the Donald Logue does in Sneakers, right? Where he's trying to find the key more than he's trying to find the total answer and everything. And the computer is trying to figure out. And it's really fun. And Keira Knightley's really good in this too. But it's got also, a background of Turing was gay, and that was back when it was illegal to be gay.
Oh yeah,
and so he has to hide that and everything. So it's got sort of a half and half structure and everything. But it's fascinating watching this guy work and trying to get. And he's obviously a guy that he's not very popular and doesn't care about being popular. And he immediately like tells people that they're not good at what they're been hired to do. And just the way he interacts with everybody, it's the Asperger's thing that's becoming very popular for actors to kind of like put into their tool shed basically to play. But it's a fascinating movie. Also in the Best Picture, Grand Budapest Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Wes Anderson is continuing sort of what he came back to now after he's done Fantastic Mr. Fox and he's done Moonrise Kingdom and all that. I think he's back on a winning track now. And Grand Budapest Hotel is a fun movie. His most violent movie too.
Oh yeah. It also helps to have Ralph Fiennes in this role. He's excellent.
Yes, he is.
Awesome.
It was supposed to be Johnny Depp.
Oh man, I could not get behind that.
Yeah, but you can see the Ralph Fiennes. You can see in this character like that some of the Johnny Depp isms that are going on. In that character.
I think you took somebody like Ralph Fiennes with a little more age on him, a little more experience, a little more seasoning to make this a believable character because he's crazy. I mean, he's obsessed with sex, with looking great, with appearances and everything, but he also has like this deep heart and this devotion to this chosen craft and everything. So it's so much fun.
Yeah, I thought he was really great. It's one of the more forgettable ones from him, though, for me. I didn't connect to it as much as I just kind of had a few laughs watching it. Whereas, again, I've said this a million times, but I go back to Rushmore and even Royal Tenenbaums, I connected more to those characters in that story. But it's not bad. I liked it.
Well, and Moonrise Kingdom was so nostalgic and emotional, and this is not that. This is more like madcap, like fun action.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And this is the first... I mean, Wes Anderson's obviously got a real keen attention to detail in all of his movies and everything, but this is the one where I really... saw like just how obsessive he is, and I don't know if he's getting more that way or whatever. Like just the way he places little objects in the screen and everything. There's like one scene where just like a prominent set of keys are hanging in this perfect spot, and I'm just like, I just get amused by that because there's so many little details he throws into these things that it's just fun watching them over and over again. I can see what you're saying though. I mean, it's not his best by any means, or it's not like the biggest connected movie, but it's better than Life Aquatic, and it's better than Darjeeling and all that.
One of the things that's almost distracting to that point is that he centers every shot.
Yeah.
Where it throws you off because it's so balanced that you want something to just kind of muss it up a little bit, you know? And I guess he's, like you're saying, like he may not be capable of doing that anymore.
The other big Best Picture was Boyhood.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Linklater did this over 10 years, I think. It was maybe more.
12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
And I remember going to his IMDb page while this was getting shot, and it was always the Richard Linklater 12-year project. And I was like, what the hell is that? And he had to read about it. And every summer he went and shot this movie, and he had to get a kid who was committed to being in this movie for 12 years.
Yeah.
And he got it. And I love how also he got his real life daughter in this movie.
Yep.
And after the first year of this movie, she's like, I don't really like acting. And he's like, no, you have to be this character, whatever. And it just goes to show what kind of danger he was walking with, trying to, I guess if the actor stepped out or whatever, he'd just have to scrap it.
Yeah.
But still, that just kind of shows what kind of danger he was walking on. With kids, you never know. Kids could say they want to be an actor, but
and you also never know, because I think any kid at 7 can be cute, and you'll go, maybe a good actor,
right?
And then you don't really know until they get to 11, and this kid is not bad.
Yeah,
I don't think he's an acting sensation, but he could have gotten he could have got Macaulay Culkin. Right?
Yeah,
who was cute the first couple of years, but then when he got into teenagehood, was just annoying.
Yeah, exactly.
And constantly singing about pizza.
Yeah.
Well, yes, because he could have done this. Have you ever seen the documentary 7 Up, 14 Up, 21 Up?
I haven't, unfortunately.
Because that's just you checking in on a group of friends and family over the course of their lifetimes, essentially. But this, like you said, they've got to act. They've got to actually be in a situation, and it's emotionally taxing too. Of course, it's got an alcoholic stepfather that comes in, and I think he's very, very good. I love this movie, and Ethan Hawke. Whatever happens when he gets together with Richard Linklater, it's magic.
Yeah.
And he's
especially
so
the Newton boys.
Yeah, totally.
Was he in that one?
Yeah, and Matthew McConaughey. They were both awesome in that. That movie.
Fucking Newton boys.
I just busted out a Newton boys reference.
And you know what? I saw that movie and I couldn't tell you one scene in it.
I couldn't either, but I remember he made it. And I'm just glad I got to pull that out of my ass.
Yeah.
I like Boyhood a lot. I'm not one of those people who love it.
Yeah.
I don't think if you take away, I think it's a super fascinating project and piece of art that does carry some resonance because we are seeing this real kid for the most part, at various stages in his life. But I think if you take that away, the way he shot it, I don't think the story of this movie holds up anywhere near as interesting. Like if you had a different actor to play him at 7 and then a different actor who played him at 12 or what have you. I don't think this would be as enthralling.
No, the narrative is part of its greatness, I think.
I agree.
And I don't know, just seeing that happen in real time and seeing how people react. Patricia Arquette is terrific.
Oh, she's amazing. She won the Oscar.
She won, yeah. And that dynamic between mother and son, how it evolves over time, where when he's 19 or whatever, he comes in and she's like, "Well, you've been smoking some weed."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, well,
yeah." And this is the way the story goes, and this is probably familiar to a lot of people, but it feels like this is one of those where you're just like, every new dude she dates is an asshole.
Yeah.
Every single one. You're just like, oh my God, can you please just find somebody good?
The shot of him going out to one of the alcoholic asshole guys, him going out to the laundry room and filling up this gigantic cup with vodka.
Yeah.
And then he grabs a Sprite and puts a little splash on it.
Yeah.
Just funny.
Let's talk about another movie that took 12 years to film, Interstellar.
Yeah.
Boy, do I love the ideas in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I like Christopher Nolan. He always has a solid idea. And this flirts with so many cool sci-fi concepts. I think it's at its strongest when they're at that planet that's so close to the black hole.
Oh, yeah.
That when they go down, time will advance much more slowly there on that planet than it does up above. And then, of course, the action sequence of that giant wave on that planet is incredible.
It's amazing.
Right.
And then they get back up, and of course, McConaughey goes on to become a meme for crying too much. But I was gut punched by that.
That scene is amazing.
Imagine that. You've been gone 23 years in what, an hour? And now you're going to watch an entire lifetimes of messages of your kids as they grow up and resent you because for all they know, you're ignoring them. You just went down to a planet for an hour. I felt like I would literally fall apart the way he does in that scene.
Yeah, I feel like the McConaughey crying meme is just a part of our cynical culture that we have now, and it doesn't have anything to do with how you felt watching that movie at all.
Okay, good.
Like if you want, I mean, maybe there are people who watched that movie and started laughing at his crying or whatever, but I don't see how in the fuck you could, because it's exactly the way you would act if you saw that. Kids growing up, like your kids, you remember your kids like this, and then they're in an hour they're this.
Yeah.
And I always think about that poor guy that was on the spaceship.
Yeah,
man.
bastard.
I think about that guy sitting there for years on the ship, and he's just got nothing to do. I mean, that's a whole movie right there.
Yeah,
it's Passengers.
Well, it's like the beginning of Prometheus, where David is walking around by himself.
Yeah.
Like how that guy didn't go insane or kill himself, I'll never know.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a movie full of great ideas. I don't like the going into the Tesseract thing.
Not a big fan of
the whole
bookshelf.
thing about love being the thing that transcends.
The secret ingredient is love.
Yeah. Hey, who's been screwing with this thing? The movie's theme is proven all the way through it. Anne Hathaway has a hunch about going to this one planet because she's in love with that one guy.
Yeah.
And it turns out that would have been the right planet to go to. And and his love for his daughter takes him into this thing. I know that's where it just loses me.
Yeah.
That whole part right there. And I love it all the way up to that point.
Now, there are people, a few weeks ago, I tweeted out that thing I've mentioned before. What is Christopher Nolan's best movie and why is it The Prestige? And I got a surprising amount of people voting Interstellar. So there are people out there who think this is perfect. And more power to you, because I see the greatness in there. It's a little overly long, a little sappy. But it is a hell of an achievement to look at. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's so
and
beautiful.
His famous insistence on IMAX and real film, and it comes through, practical effects, all of that stuff. But the parts don't add up to a whole of greatness for me. It would probably be in the middle of the pack of Nolan movies.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's so rooted in all these scientific concepts that when you throw in that, not to say that there's not room for emotions and feeling and things like that, but it's just, make it fit within the context of this whole thing. But there's a lot of great parts to it. I love the robots.
Oh, yeah, they're awesome.
And I love the Matt Damon part in there, too.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why it doesn't hit, but it's really good overall.
Yeah, the way they think about science is great, and I wish the movie could have followed a little bit more suit on that, and not made it about love. That's the thing that ends up killing it for me.
Chris hates love.
I hate
Chris
love.
is a big fan of hate.
That's right.
Let the hate flow through.
That's right. I already did that. So others?
How about Nightcrawler?
How about Nightcrawler?
Man, what a crazy ass movie.
I love it.
The creepiest.
It's so creepy. Jake Gyllenhaal, this may be a question that we have later on. It's not my answer, but he is such an underrated actor.
Yes,
I think.
he is.
I think
This
so.
is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, to take this world of getting to murder scenes first.
Right.
And the whole trajectory of him going, bugging the news station and all that stuff to where he ends up is just so interesting to watch.
It is. It's creepy, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's not fun to watch.
No.
Right?
Yeah, especially his whole interactions with Rene Russo in this it gets to the point of very uncomfortable and everything. But just in general, being an ambulance chasing photographer and everything, that opens up. So he won't, there's not anything that he won't do in this, to get his story or whatever. And it's just, oh my God, but I love it. It's just one of those movies. This was Dan Gilroy, who's the brother of Tony Gilroy.
Oh,
Tony Gilroy, mostly known for Bourne movies and everything. And this was his directorial debut.
Wow.
And he was really, really well done. It's a movie that sort of got a lot of top 10 lists at the end of the year. It didn't get much Oscar love or anything like that, but But it's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw this much later and just caught it, and I was like, I'll just check it out. It was on Netflix. And I was riveted.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Very
Remember
weird.
that movie in the 90s with Joe Pesci as a murder scene photographer?
Oh, yeah.
What was that called?
Oh, God.
8 heads in a duffel bag.
No.
Good, close enough.
Was it The Camera Eye?
No, well, it's The Public Eye?
Public Eye.
Public Eye.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, Jude Law was like a dead person photographer in Road to Perdition.
Oh.
I wonder if Jake Gyllenhaal consulted either of those guys for acting advice.
Probably so.
Probably not. The Raid 2 came out this year.
Yeah.
Awesome.
One of the most visceral experiences I've ever had. I came out of that movie pumping my fist. I was, it's awesome. It takes and expands on the greatness of the first Raid movie. It frees itself from the single setting and works in a very respectable gangster crime story underneath all these incredible fights. Starting with the bathroom scene where like 200 guys barge in on him, all the way through the mud fight, which we've raved about before, the car chase fight, the kitchen fight.
Yes.
Oh my God. It's a hard R action thriller that I think succeeds in every way.
Have we ever seen a sequel? Like, okay, so the first Raid is great. It's a great movie. Have we ever seen a sequel destroy a previous great movie like this? Like, the second one is so much better than the first.
It is, to the point where if I'm looking at both of them, I'm going to put the second one in almost every time. And I don't think there's anything quite like, I mean, maybe The Godfather.
And Godfather 2 definitely doesn't beat the first Godfather that much.
I agree.
Even if you like Godfather 2 better, it's not like that much.
No. I would say Evil Dead 2.
Dark Knight, Batman Begins.
Dark Knight over Batman Begins, I can see. Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, I don't know about that either. I mean, Evil Dead 2 is better than the first one, but it's not like just ladders above, I don't think.
Yeah, same thing with Terminator 2. Terminator 2 is better than Terminator, but it's not miles. Anyway, the point is, yes, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Dark Knight one was a really good one because Batman Begins was great, but Dark Knight was way, way better.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just, oh my God, this is how you make action movies, guys.
Yes,
we've already said it a bunch of times already, but this is how you make action.
Good choreography, good performers.
If they could make a Marvel movie like this, I would be all over Marvel.
Man, I'm telling you, even if it was Black Widow, and you just made a Black Widow movie with hand-to-hand combat that was shot this way, I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the American version of this could be construed as John Wick, which came out this year, too. And this movie surprised the shit out of me.
It's a lot of people, man, because this movie was not set to be a big box office draw. I don't think it actually did do very much box office, but on video, everybody has picked this up, and now suddenly everybody loves John Wick, and there's a sequel coming out.
Yeah, of course
it's like Reddit's favorite movie ever. If you look at Reddit, of course, they already love Keanu Reeves for a bunch of reasons, but this is one I didn't see in the theater. I caught later. I actually remember seeing more marketing for the other movie he made, where it was like the Asian dragon magic. He was like the last Ronin or whatever.
Yeah.
47 Ronin?
47 Ronin.
There you go. I saw more marketing for that than I ever did for this. This is a great time. Now, I have seen people put this movie in the same sentence as the Raid 2, and I don't think that's appropriate.
No, because it's not choreographed like that. I mean, there's some hand-to-hand, but it's mostly
guns.
Canoe chasing people with guns through crowded places.
Makes a great badass.
Yes.
Just as surprising as Liam Neeson did.
Yeah.
It's a very enjoyable revenge film. They killed his dog.
Yeah.
They killed his goddamn dog. And it sets him off. And I don't know what they're going to kill in the second. Maybe he got a cat. And they killed it for
maybe so. Man, again, just make these movies to kill animals is what they do.
Pretty sure I'm back.
Yeah. There was another movie, and we don't have to talk about it very long, that was along the same lines as John Wick, was The Equalizer.
Oh, yeah.
Denzel Washington beating some ass.
Yeah.
On behalf of Chloe Grace.
That's right. That's right. It's another one of those type of movies where it's just a guy going out and just beating ass. That's what he does, man.
Although he gets a little bit Home Alone-y there at the end in the Home Depot.
Yes, he does.
Where he sets up all the traps.
Holy shit, does he?
Yeah.
It's like that and The Collector, the Collector, which is like that too. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, but they're making a sequel to that too, I think.
Oh, they know.
I think they're at least talking about it. Denzel did a AMA on Reddit last week, and I think he said the script is being written. So.
Interesting.
Cool. There you go.
Another big movie that came out, Gone Girl.
Yep.
Now, I like this movie, but I never needed to see it again after the first time.
I agree.
And I remember watching this, and I was like, okay, now that I know the surprise, there's not much, because there's not much in that first half that I'd be like, oh, okay, that's something new, that because I have the knowledge that I have now, that makes it a lot better. It doesn't get to that point. And I remember watching it, and I came out, and I was at my old theater, and I was talking to some people that I knew, and I was like, yeah, I like that, but now once the surprise comes out, I don't think I'll ever need to see that movie again. And they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'll ever have to see that movie again, because there's not anything that I can get. Anyway, what do we think about Gone Girl?
This movie is dour. This movie is depressing, and I'm not sure it intends to be at all times. But the color palette, there's so much shadow, there's so much darkness in this movie, and there's almost no one to root for, right? Because Ben Affleck was cheating on her. She's an asshole. The sister maybe is the only one to really root her.
Yeah, she's
Tyler
great.
Perry maybe are the only real good guys in this story. And
Casey Wilson.
Neil Patrick Harris, maybe. So it's not going to stay with me. I'm not going to want to go back to it a lot. And I think a lot of the reason this movie has lots of love is because this book was a phenomenon, like a Twilight level phenomenon. And I think a lot of people fell in love with the book and now have a little bit more glow of a halo around the movie than you and I do. Even though, from what I understand, they made at least one drastic change to the end of the book when they made the movie. I'm not sure what that would be. But anyway, I thought performances are solid. Fincher's always got a good eye. It's just not a story that really pulls me in.
It's interesting, too. Rosamund Pike had been around forever. And she never, and this is the classic case of the, actresses not getting good roles and all other stuff. She's been in a ton of stuff, but you've forgotten what she was in.
I know one. She was in the movie Surrogates with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
That sci-fi movie.
And I forgot that she was in that.
That's a badass concept.
and I forgot that she was in Jack Reacher until we sent the video of the movie. And then I know she was a Bond girl in one of those Brosnan Bonds.
You're right.
And I don't remember which one it was.
Well, I can't tell any of those Brosnan Bonds apart.
Yeah.
They all completely run together.
They're all the same. But it's an interesting choice, because I think this sort of vaulted her into sort of a status that she's never, now she's going to be in a lot of stuff, I think. I saw a trailer with her in it the other day. I was like, oh, okay, well, finally, but she's been around forever.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a movie that's hard to really just I don't know. It's hard for me to love, because Ben Affleck's such a doofus in this. And that's the way he is. That's his character, and I get it and everything. But man, it's just so disappointing how many bad moves he makes.
He makes a bunch.
Smiling during the picture taking and all that, and all these little mistakes that I think most people, especially people of his education, would be able to get out of those situations. He falls for it every single time.
Not checking the credit card statement.
Oh yeah. But I can see why it's popular. It's just not. It wasn't.
I do love that moment where she comes back. He walks up to hug him, and he's like, "You fucking bitch." The first thing he says to her. So awesome.
And I like Kim Dickens in this. I've always had really liked Kim Dickens in these, and she's she's really good. She's professional and all this other stuff. And there's that part where the Patrick Fugit character is like, "What, you really attracted to this guy or something like that?" And she's like, "Don't ever talk like that to me."
She's great.
Yeah. And so I really liked her in it. But all right, what else?
Documentary Citizen 4 about Ed Snowden.
Yeah.
You guys seen it?
I have.
Riveting. Almost like Locke with Tom Hardy driving a car. You tell me you're gonna watch Snowden sit on a hotel bed for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and talk about some pretty high level computer security stuff, and you're gonna be riveted.
Yeah.
And I think the rivetingness comes from the fact that while they were filming this, at any minute he could have been caught or arrested, and he was unsure of all of that, and it comes through. But I came away with this thinking he was such an articulate guy, right? explains the technical stuff really well. He comes across very relatable. And I don't want to pick a side in the should he be arrested or pardoned debate. Because my opinion is not political, but I came away from that more impressed with him than I expected.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy to Locke and all that. It says you won't think that you're going to be riveted by just him talking about and some stuff that, quite frankly, you're not going to understand everything about either. But it's all about your privacy, and it's all about what goes on when you're using your phones and using computers and stuff like that. He goes through like, what is the how many millions of guesses the government computers have per second on a password and like stuff like that. It's just like some 35 billion or something like that guesses of your password or whatever. And then, of course, they came out with Joseph Gordon-Levitt getting stuck in a movie, the movie version of the documentary that's way better, But I still haven't seen Snowden, so I can't really say.
I haven't either.
But I guarantee you the documentary.
What's funny is I saw a print ad somewhere, like a magazine or something, and I was like, oh, Snowden's coming out. I was like, oh, that's the Blu-ray release. It's already come and gone. Like, I completely missed that movie.
So there were some comedies. Neighbors, was one of the bigger comedies in this. Sorry,
that joke they make with their friend, where they're trying to plot. They're like, "What's the number one thing that get fraternities in trouble?" And he goes, "Rape." And then he immediately goes, "What?" Sorry, first time I saw that joke, it shocked me so much. I was crying, laughing. I really liked this movie.
Yeah, I did too. I wasn't expecting to, but I think part of it comes from the fact that Rose Byrne is given things to do.
Yes, finally.
Yeah, like it's easy to make this movie with Rose Byrne just being the like, I can't believe you do this and blah blah blah. In this one, she's actually active in the story and everything, and I love her, like her big like, let's get Dave Franco and Zac Efron's girlfriend, upstairs together and have them have sex with each other and everything.
That's edited so perfect because everyone is seeing the kissing going on between the two women, and that song comes. Oh shit! Oh shit! Yeah. Really plays well.
They of course eventually made a Neighbors 2, which I didn't see, but it looked like the same old thing, basically.
Same thing. I haven't seen it,
but Neighbors was funny. I didn't see Ride Along. Did anybody see Ride Along?
Sadly enough, I saw Ride Along 2, but not the first one. I imagine I have seen the first one.
I haven't seen the first one, but it was a huge hit. I mean, it's one of those that came out in January and just suddenly, it stunned everybody.
It was right at the height of Kevin Hart's rise in popularity.
Yeah.
Too. And so I think that helped a lot.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Horrible Bosses 2 for a minute?
Yeah.
As if I haven't talked about that movie enough to you guys. I never saw the first one. Caught this one on HBO last year sometime and laughed my ass off. Fell in love. It became almost like The Martian. If I saw it on, I would watch it because the interplay between these three, Charlie Day and Sudeikis and Jason Bateman, is just fantastic. They play off of each other really well. Then, after having fallen in love with the second one, I finally saw the first one and realized how much they just made the same movie again. Because it's mostly the same movie. And I'm in the weird position of disliking the first one because I saw the second one first, and that's where I first heard all the jokes. Even though all the jokes are there, that Jennifer Aniston wanting to fuck somebody that doesn't want to fuck her. I mean, all those jokes, the writing on the dry erase board with permanent mark, all those jokes are in both movies. I didn't know that when I saw the second one, so I adore it.
It's funny, I don't think we talked about the first Horrible Bosses in that year.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that first one, and Jason Bateman is the big reason. But even though, I mean, I love Jason Sudeikis and Charlie Day too, but Jason Bateman just always, just the way he does those things, and it's in the trailer, but that line about like, they got him on the like traffic cam or whatever, and he's like, And he's like, what were you doing driving 85 miles an hour and whatever this? I was drag racing. And he goes, in a Prius? I don't win a lot. and just like when they're in that big chase and everything, and he's like, now I'm gonna have to move to Canada, I'm gonna have to learn hockey and all that shit. It's a funny thing. It's one of those weird things. The first movie was a tremendous hit.
It was.
And then they came out with the sequel and nobody gave a shit.
Yep.
Like, it was almost like they just all basically, that doesn't need to be a sequel.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. The beats were all done. It was a self-insulated story, the first one. It was totally an unnecessary sequel, except for the fact that they do interplay so well together.
And Chris Pine, I think, is a really good addition. I mean, Christoph Waltz is good too, but Chris Pine has a lot of screen time, and he's basically the villain, but he's super magnetic. Like the first time, well, he tricks them into thinking they kidnapped him high on nitrous when they're in the closet because they hear a thump in the trunk and open it up, and he's tied himself up. He's like, don't kill me. And so they're freaking out. Then they go inside, and he's in the middle of talking about having read their note and found them in the closet, and he turns, he's like, is that a fucking swordfish? Anyway.
Yeah, and I've seen Horrible Bosses too since. I didn't see it in the theater, and I saw it kind of like you did. It was on, HBO or whatever, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty funny. I mean, it's better when you don't have any of the going to a theater and having expectations and all that other stuff. When it comes on, just HBO, something about it, man. You can watch those movies without worrying about anything, and they're usually funnier for it. Another big, awesome movie that came out in 2014, Edge of Tomorrow.
Ah, yes. Boy, was this a surprise.
Yes.
Because Doug Liman, bless his heart, is really hit or miss. Like, you never know if you're going to get Swingers or what's the bad one?
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith or
Jumper.
And so here you have a very high concept action film. Cast perfectly, I think, all the way down to Bill Paxton's drill instructor, who's one of the funniest things about the movie. And this is just a great, solid, time travel based, futuristic action movie. But it's got so much humor. Like the humor was what was unexpected for me, was that they were going to mine that Groundhog Day, living the same day over and over again for so much humor, almost as much as Groundhog Day does, before they get into all the action. I fucking love this movie.
Yeah, and there's that big crescendo where they keep showing him dying over and over and over again, and it's like, on your feet, maggot, and then it's like, on your feet, maggot, and on your feet, maggot, and then it's like, maggot, maggot. It's just, he dies like 50 times in there, and like, but like, yeah, man, this is one of my favorite movies of the decade.
Yeah.
It's I didn't expect it to be that great, but it is. You have Emily Blunt in this, who I always like and everything, but it's also got a little bit of surprise to it as well, because you think you're seeing, I guess, every single instance of him dying and waking back up and learning new things as he gets up or whatever, but it has a little surprise for you, in store later on, and it's just one of those things where like he keeps getting to that same point over and over. Can you imagine like getting to that same point over and over, and you're trying to think, is there something new I can say now that makes this different? But what a great action movie. What a great premise. And when I heard Groundhog Day action movie, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then, it blew me away.
And it's got one of the best sequences that I've ever seen in an action movie, where they drop in that first time on the beach. It's as impactful as any action movie can be. I mean, it takes you through all the different, it's from his perspective, and you see all this crazy shit going down that you see again over and over and over again. But it just has no shits given. And it's just like, fuck it, go in there and see what you can do.
Yeah. And so, what a good movie. I can't say enough about it. That's great. Anything else you guys want to mention?
How about Inherent Vice?
Yeah. This is another one of those drug trip movies where I feel like because I don't drop acid, I missed something.
Well, it's very much like The Big Lebowski to me. It's got that Philip Marlowe type of...
Joaquin Phoenix again playing... Well, not again, but he's playing what kind of like Jeff Bridges,
like a
playing.
dude, yeah,
where he's always on drugs and he gets into a mystery that he's in over his head on,
and
everything. So definitely has a lot of Big Lebowski in it.
But he's smart, like he's got a wit about him, and he just gives no shits. The thing that really is it Martin Short. That
yes. Martin Short's hilarious. Absolutely
kills me in this movie. It's certainly not up there with Paul Thomas Anderson's best, but it's a lot of fun to watch if you just kind of are in the mood for something different.
Yeah. And it's a movie that you're not going to get the first couple of times either. And I still don't know if I've gotten completely everything that's in this movie.
Well, this is a Thomas Pynchon novel who's famous for kind of writing a lot of odd shit and a lot of incomprehensible shit.
Yeah, and it's basically his search for this. Well, I mean, it's not really a search. I mean, I guess sort of a search for Owen Wilson in this movie. He keeps running into him in all these different situations. There's a whole other greater mystery that's going on, but yeah, it's one of those by the end of, especially Josh Brolin in this is great.
He's got that perfect last scene of him just staring Joaquin Phoenix down and gobbling up all the weed.
Yes, he breaks down his door and just comes in and eats his weed. But yeah, there's so many. I mean, that's it's one of those movies where it's not really. I don't think the whole connection of the mystery is what you're watching that movie for.
Yeah.
You're watching it as an episodic type of thing, and each episode has its own thing. It has a larger plot to it, obviously, but it's more about each individual scene than it is. But Joaquin Phoenix again is great in this, and this is a completely different thing than we've seen him before. I mean, from this and The Master, they're completely different.
Yeah, I mean, between this, it was last year. What was his? Her.
Yeah.
You got The Master, Her, and then this.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of what you think about Inherent Vice, like that's a pretty incredible
in the middle
run.
of all that, you have I'm Still Here.
Yeah. Well,
we have to consider that as well.
Well, no, that was before. That was why he was able to get a lot of these movies, was because he did such a performance in I'm Still Here that everybody thought, well, not everybody. I knew that was a bunch of bullshit when I first heard about it. It was like, he's like, oh, he and Casey Affleck are going around shooting a thing where he's pretending to be a rapper. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure he really wants to do that. But yeah, he after based on that performance he started getting back into he got some real heavy hitting stuff based off of that. We don't need to talk about The Amazing Spider-Man 2 very much. It's a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Godzilla. Gareth Edwards got Star Wars through that. That's a very good Godzilla. It's got 3 amazing scenes in it, basically.
And it redeemed the Godzilla franchise as far as American studios making them after that 1998 fiasco.
Yeah, absolutely.
From who?
Oh, Roland Emmerich.
Roland Emmerich. That's who.
That's right. How to Train Your Dragon 2 was good. Another movie, really, I mean, it made a lot of money, but it wasn't like the first one. The first one was slamming, and then the second one
was darker.
Yeah, it was darker.
Yeah.
But yeah, another one where people, I wouldn't say they're different. 177 million is a lot of money, but Divergent, which famously tried to do the Hunger Games type of thing, where the Divergent, everybody loves these. We're going to do this. We're going to do Insurgent, and then we're going to split the last 2. Nope. They got to that third movie, and they realized there's no way they can do this. It's not nearly popular enough.
No, and then they talked about doing a TV movie wrap-up, and now all the stars have basically backed out, and it's completely fell apart.
Why would you do that?
No, there's no reason.
Yeah, but Divergent, hate that movie. I hate that movie. So I hate that and Maze Runner. I feel like they're just they're knockoffs of this genre or whatever. Maybe they're the first one. Maybe the books came first. I don't know. Maybe the books came before Hunger Games, for all I know. I don't know what the order of all these books are and everything. But they're all tapping into this revolution and this kids getting into an arena.
Yeah.
And they all feel like knockoffs.
Yeah, they do, of each other.
Yeah, exactly. And they just end up being terrible. Into the Woods, another Disney
Man,
attempt.
fuck that movie with a big scaly pole.
Can't stand that movie. Yeah, it's a big scaly pole.
That movie annoyed the shit out of me.
Yeah. And it's even a movie that you're like, even though Anna Kendrick's in this, I can't stand this movie.
Yeah, I know. She's not enough to save it. It's just insipid.
Lucy, terrible movie. Luc Besson did this, and Scarlett Johansson, that whole, like, you only use 10% of your brain thing.
Which was bullshit long before this movie was even written.
That's the problem. Like, that's the sort of, I don't know, fact that had been going around for years that, like, you can't make a movie about that anymore because everybody realizes how much bullshit that is now.
There was even a Cosby Show episode where Theo had read that and was trying to move a glass of orange juice with his brain. I shit you not. I remember that in the 80s.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, I can understand you saying, well, let's just bend the rules a little bit and let's go with this 10% thing. The problem is immediately everybody goes, no, but it still was a big hit.
Yeah,
the movie made a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, I think
he's even showing that, like, that City of Planets bullshit that's coming out. Director of Lucy, he's proud of that shit.
Yeah.
I guess they were traded because Limitless was a pretty sizable hit, wasn't it?
Yeah, I liked Limitless.
But Limitless had that thing where you had to take the pill to do that instead of becoming a superhuman, that kind of thing. So
yeah, no on Lucy for me.
Let's see.
How about Chef?
Yeah, Chef.
John Favreau.
Saw this on an airplane.
Yeah?
And enjoyed the hell out of it.
It's really, really fun. A little too saccharine sweet at the end, the way everything falls in line perfectly. But you can tell that Favreau intentionally wanted to step away from blockbusters. And his character's arc is so similar to his real life arc, as that character steps away from the big fancy restaurant, and starts a tiny little inconspicuous food truck. And I think it really kind of brought out the life in him as a director. He's fine in this as an actor, but this movie makes you hungry by focusing on the food as well as any movie ever has. And just a really fun road trip father-son. And if you don't want to eat a Cuban sandwich by the time you're done with this movie, there's something wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing about it, right? Like it's a movie that taps into another kind of emotion, being hungry.
Yeah,
and everything that they put up on there is so well photographed and looks amazing and everything, and it's just like, oh man, I just want to live inside this food truck right now.
It's good source material because now with the rise of celebrity chefs and there's a zillion food programs out there. Anthony Bourdain doing his thing.
Yep.
The Fault in Our Stars was a big movie. John Green wrote the novel, and then it became a movie.
The sound of my heart
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I know that
song.
I know that as Charlie XCX movie. Basically,
boom, crash. Yeah. I didn't like this movie. It's just, I don't know. There's something about, what is it?
It's bad.
It's bad.
Don't they make out in Anne Frank's house? Don't they kiss in Anne Frank's house?
I think so.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it is.
What the hell, Cancer Girl?
Fucked up. And it's one of those where, yeah, exactly.
The book is probably fine.
Yeah, the book's fine.
But, I mean, when you start out giving me this character's going to die, and she falls in love with somebody else who's going to die,
yeah,
I have already lost interest.
Right.
Because whatever they're going to learn won't matter to them, and I guarantee it won't matter to me.
And then they have to do that whole yo-yo thing where, oh, well, he's not going to die. Oh, wait a minute, he is. So, yeah, it's one of those things. But anyway, I know that was a super popular movie with the kids because of John Green. John Green has a huge presence on YouTube.
And off.
And off.
As an author, he's, even Looking for Alaska, Paper Towns.
Yeah.
Like 3 movies made on his work so far.
And when I used to watch lots and lots of YouTube videos, I used to watch them because I love what he talks about in these in his videos and everything. He's just very very intelligent and discussions of problems of the day and everything like that. And that's what you don't get that in like regular news and stuff like that.
He cameos in this movie.
He does.
He's the dad at the airport whose daughter gets the nose thing put on her by Cancer Girl.
Well, yeah, Shailene Woodley did have like a pretty decent year there. Divergent and Fault in Our Stars.
Well, Descendants was just before this a year or two.
Yep. The weird Darren Aronofsky Noah came out in 2000.
It's interesting that you choose weird for that adjective. It is weird, but it's also just bad.
Yeah.
It's not good.
No.
It's not enjoyable. I don't even think the effects look all that good. And this was famously troubled behind the scenes at Paramount while it was being made. I'm not sure Aronofsky always gets along well with studio execs. But yeah, I have no interest in ever watching this movie again.
It doesn't look like an Aronofsky movie.
No.
I mean, it could have been directed by
like
Michael Bay.
Roland Emmerich
Yeah,
movie.
Exactly. So, I mean, why would you get somebody that has a unique type of vision like that?
I always
just do generic.
Yeah, I always have a problem with movies that do stuff like this. Okay, so that Noah and his family are super religious, and because it's biblical times. They actually interact with God in these times. And they throw this Emma Watson character who's not in the Bible at all as the love interest to Shem. I think it's Shem, right? Older brother.
Noah's sons were Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
So it was Shem was the oldest, right?
I believe so.
So
wasn't he the fourth stooge too?
He was the fourth stooge. But so there's a point where Methuselah, Anthony Hopkins, touches Emma Watson, and she's able to have children. So what does she do? She immediately finds Shem out in the woods and says, "Let's do this. Let's bone." And I'm like, this is not what biblical people would do necessarily. Even if it was, I mean, no, it wouldn't be in the Bible, but I guess if it was in the Bible, then, but no, this is not what a religious family would do. Like, let's just go ahead and do this. And then they have, it's like instant pregnancy too.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, it's not good. Nonstop, which is a movie I could not even remember the name of the last time we tried to bring it up.
There was also 22 Jump Street that came out this year.
22 Jump Street.
The most self-aware comedy I've ever seen.
Very much so.
So much so. Everybody loves this movie that I know, that I've talked to. I thought it was too self-aware. It was like, yes, I understand that you just did the same thing again, but you don't have to keep beating it. Ice Cube's doing it. Nick Offerman's doing it. Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. Okay, we get it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was fun and enjoyable. It was set in college.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I really liked it, but I agree. It does go over the top on the being aware that they're a sequel and they're doing the same thing. Because, Nick Offerman even looks at the camera at one point, which, as you remember, was the exact same thing that happened in the first time. Oh, man, there's a lot of bad stuff now. The Purge Anarchy. What was one movie I wanted to bring up? Frank.
Oh, yeah. Still haven't seen that.
Yeah. I don't think either of you have seen this, but this is Michael Fassbender as a lead singer of a band who wears this big, huge head.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
Oh, and it's very good. I don't know if I would go out to say, you have to watch this movie now, but I don't know. It's just always interesting. The movie is always like, he plays this character in such a way that you're just like, you can never put your finger on it and everything. He's very socially awkward, obviously. But it's interesting because this is a band that's very much not into selling out. They just enjoy playing music together and all this sort of stuff. And then they hire this one guy who's basically our main character of the movie, who says, well, if we can start tweeting out that we're going to be at this place and that place and whatever, we might be able to build some buzz and all that. And Maggie Gyllenhaal, who's in this, she's like, you can't do that. We don't really care about all of that. You can't change our dynamic and everything. But he obviously does. And Michael Fassbender, character Frank, is just sitting there he's thinking about it. He's like, yeah, maybe we could be more popular. And he starts thinking about writing songs that are for, popular songs and stuff like that. It changes their whole band dynamic. And it's interesting to watch this movie. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I guess I would recommend it, but I don't go thinking this is life-changing or anything like that. And there's a really cool song in it too. I think I remember one good song. I don't remember anything others, but really good song. They actually played it on one of the nighttime talk shows.
Oh, really?
I can't remember. And he was out there with his head and everything.
That's awesome.
But good movie.
Nice.
How about Kingsman: Secret Service.
Absolutely. Oh. Now, how did I skip that?
I don't know. I just saw it on my list too and thought, wow, we better talk about that. Really, really fun.
Yeah.
Really fun. Wants you to think it's a lot more violent than it actually is. That Kentucky church scene notwithstanding.
Yeah.
But I had a really, really good time with this. This is basically like if you took a James Bond kind of character or an organization and you follow the recruiting story and you amp the crazy up to 11. My only gripe with this movie is Samuel L. Jackson's casting.
Yeah.
Because it annoys me. And it's like somebody whispered in his ear, do a lisp.
Yeah.
People love lisps.
Yeah.
They're funny. They're funny by nature. But what's interesting is Mark Hamill plays a professor that's kidnapped in this movie, but the source material it's based on, it's actually Mark Hamill, the actor, that gets kidnapped.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I think it's a comic book or a graphic novel. And so they actually went out and got Mark Hamill to be in the role, but then changed it from being Mark Hamill, the actor, to being this professor for some reason.
That's funny.
So, the reason why it wasn't showing up for 2014 is that it came out in the U.S. February 2015.
Motherfucker!
But now... It came out in 2004. This is why I don't like the IMDb. It came out for that Button-umathon festival that happens in Austin.
Oh, yeah.
That's one show. That didn't mean it came out in 2014. And yet, here's what the IMDb does. They say it's a 2014 movie because it had that one show. Yeah, it drives me absolutely nuts. Let me go through this box office thing real quick, and I'll see if there's anything else. The Theory of Everything.
Yeah.
That
Eddie
was
Redmayne, right?
Yeah, Eddie Redmayne plays Bill Gates. No, I'm just kidding. He plays Stephen Hawking. And he is outstanding in this. I was really hoping Michael Keaton would win the Oscar in this Oscar race, but Eddie Redmayne was really fantastic. And
more so than the movie is, I think.
Yeah. And the movie itself is just like any biopic there. You have to okay, let's touch all the highlights of this guy's life.
It's almost like if Michael Keaton had won the Oscar that year, it would have been so meta given that movie,
Yeah. I think we're ready to vote.
All right.
Voting time.
Voting time.
Today's order is Chris, Barrett, and Jeremy.
Hey.
All right. It should come no surprise. I said Edge of Tomorrow is one of the best movies of this decade, so it's the best movie this year for me.
Uh-huh.
I think this movie's so clever, so entertaining, and again, I mean, it's an amazing feat to me that Tom Cruise, given all of his outside of his Hollywood career baggage that he has, can still go into a movie and basically just command that shit. And then you have Emily Blunt, who's playing a character who, you don't get to see women play very often. But that she's, she plays a hero where everybody reveres her, but she's been through, that's the thing. She's been through this before, and that's how she got so good and everything. But man, it's just a movie that I can watch over and over again. Now
no pun intended.
That's right. And now the ending to this movie is a little bit on the bullshit side. And then I hate how after they cut out the part where basically Cruise can die anytime he wants to in this movie. Once he can't do that anymore, suddenly he survives everything.
Yeah.
And the whole ending of it where I won't go too far into it. That was a bunch of bullshit too. But other than that though, just solid, extremely good movie all the way through, and I'm picking it.
Yeah. Man, I love Birdman so much. I really wanted to make that my pick, but I have to vote for one of my favorite movies of all time, and that's Whiplash.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy mentioned it before that it's such a unique premise in a kind of niche environment. I actually told a friend of mine who's a drummer, a rock drummer. I was like, "Oh, you should see this movie." He's like, "I hate jazz." No, man, it's not about that. So if everybody could watch this movie, I would totally recommend it. I can watch it anytime and enjoy it every time. So that's my pick.
There are a lot of movies that I considered for this year.
Mm-hmm.
The Raid 2 came out this year.
Yep.
I do take my dick out for that movie. But I'm going Whiplash because it's such a powerful movie.
Whiplash surprise winner, by the way. I thought we were going several rounds on this.
I'm sorry.
There's so many different movies that you could pick.
My second
you
pick
dicks!
Yeah. My second pick would have been Lego Movie, if that tells you the kind of
That
year
was
we
my
had.
second one, too.
Whiplash is just good drama with some really surprising gut punches at the end. There are 3 or 4 points in this movie where you think you've got it figured out what it's trying to be. Like even that scene where they meet in the bar and he's been fired, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna bond over their passion for music. Nope, not necessarily. I just love it, and I made my wife watch it, and she was so mad at me because of that ending. Like, she didn't come away with any euphoria from that ending, even though I did. She came away with mostly just the negative stuff that you feel just before the euphoria. She was mad at me for making her watch that. So anyway, it's going to be Whiplash. I'm sorry, Chris.
Nice.
No, it's okay. I love Whiplash, and it would have been somewhere in my list as well. As I probably would have gone Birdman on my second pick, and then maybe Whiplash after that. But I'm totally fine with Whiplash winning, as it's a great movie. There are a couple I wanted to mention just as a side piece. These aren't going to be movies that win or anything. The Babadook came out in 2014. A lot of people love that. It's
huge following.
Yeah, I think it's got like a couple of moments in it. For me, it's not great throughout. I love the way they do that sort of that stop motion type of thing with the actual Babadook that's in there, and it makes things really creepy when that happens. Wasn't a big one for me, but another one is The Drop.
Tom
Hardy and James Gandolfini in his last movie. The Drop is a big recommend for me. I think that's just a fantastic movie with great performances in it and everything. Yeah.
You want to do some questions?
Let's do some questions, man.
Question. I got something to say. I want the truth.
I am listening.
What are some movies that you guys are ashamed that you never saw? I assume Chris has the smallest list of all of us, and Jeremy has a pretty small list too. Mine are classic movies like The Maltese Falcon. I've never seen.
Yep.
I want to. I would love to, but I just never really got around to loading that up and just letting it fire. But I hear it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's good. I haven't seen it in forever, but good. Humphrey Bogart is at his the height of his Bogartness.
He is Bogarting all over the place.
He is Bogarting completely. I couldn't. I think I've seen that movie twice, and I don't know if I would say, yes, rush out and watch that, but it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the other one that I think Jeremy loves is I've never seen The Sting.
Oh, yeah, man, The Sting. Now, The Sting is a movie I can tell you must watch this movie.
You will enjoy it.
Yeah, that's one of those that I'll probably like before the week is out. As I was thinking about these, I was like, God, why did I never do
I've got a copy of it right in there.
I'm going to grab it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go one old, one new.
Okay.
I have still not seen last year's Spotlight.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Which I believe won Best Picture?
Yes.
It did.
That's one that you should run out and see, I think.
But this is about the Catholic Church stuff?
Yep.
That's what's held me off.
But it's more about the news
I understand.
than it is about it's not Sleepers.
Right.
Which you should not run out and see.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Brad Renfro, where are you?
Yeah.
So I still haven't seen that. It's actually been sitting on my desk for 6 months. I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to go even older school on you and say I have never seen Gone with the Wind.
Oh,
and
really?
I hope I never do.
That's insane.
Interesting.
My wife loves it, and everything that she says that's good about it makes it sound terrible to me.
Like what?
Pretty dresses.
Well,
it's not about pretty dresses.
yeah, it's definitely not about pretty dresses.
Old-timey accents.
No.
It just doesn't appeal to me at all.
That's not cool. That's not cool. The movie itself. Now, I do think that Gone with the Wind probably overrated over time. And of course it was like the Jim Ridley used to write in the Nashville Scene, the greatest grand old depiction of slavery there is ever, but no, the movie is very good. The problem that I would say with an audience today is the movie's 4 hours long.
Right.
It is hard to tell somebody to commit that kind of time to a movie. And when you're watching it, you're just kind of like, yeah, if they made that today, it would be 2 hours.
Yeah.
They wouldn't like spend
or it'd be part 1 and 2.
Yeah, exactly. They wouldn't sit there and spend like so much time on all these things, but it's a gorgeous movie with, Vivian Leigh is really good in it, and Clark Gable's great in it.
Yes, he is.
And I would say that forget the whole thing about the pretty dresses and the accents. Watch it for just general good movie
This is
making.
not going to endear me anymore to you, but like I put it in the same place in my mind as the movie version of Oklahoma. For no good reason.
Every conception you have about this movie is wrong.
I'm sure. I have no doubt. But I still have no interest. Maybe one day when I have a free 4 hours. But,
yeah.
All right, Chris, give us yours so we can mock you too.
Well, yeah, there's one on here for sure that you'll mock me for, and I got 4 like big classics that I've never seen. But the one movie that has been talked about several times on this podcast that I've never seen is Scrooged.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
that's crazy.
And I have a copy of it too. I have it in this extensive Blu-ray collection that we have. Never seen it, and when it came out, I remember wanting to see it, and I didn't see it then. And then like and all through, I never heard anybody love Scrooge as much as you do. By the way, so there's never any point. There was never anybody saying you got to watch Scrooge. It's really towards the latter half of like the past few 5 to 10 years that I've started hearing people love Scrooge. Because it's this whole Bill Murray renaissance that's been going on. And so I will watch it. I will probably watch it very soon, in fact, because I do have a copy of it.
And it's still technically Christmassy time.
Yeah.
Ish.
I'll mention all 4 of them briefly. 4 classic movies I haven't seen that are in the AFI's top 100. And I looked at the AFI's top because I was actually struggling to find movies that I hadn't seen. But the AFI 100, I've probably seen 90 of those movies. The 4 that stood out were Sunset Boulevard, which I know you've seen.
Oh yeah.
On the Waterfront, the 1959 Ben-Hur, and Coal Miner's Daughter, which is not on the AFI 100, but I put it on this list because being from Tennessee and everything, and it's Loretta Lynn and everything, and I know Sissy Spacek and Tommy Lee Jones are amazing in it, and I've seen parts of it, but I've never seen it all the way through, and that's one that I'm embarrassed that I haven't seen.
I think out of that list, On the Waterfront should be at the top of it.
I would say Ben-Hur.
Oh yeah,
just because of the accomplishment of some of those scenes for when they made them. Because there are action movies today that don't do it as well as they did. Like
that's true. Yeah.
60, 70 years ago. But it's long, and it's not always entertaining.
Right.
And so I have never seen On the Waterfront, so I can't direct you that direction either.
On the Waterfront is a masterclass in directing. That was Elia Kazan.
Elia Kazan, yeah.
And if you want to see...
Yeah, because he's an angel.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. But if you want to be reminded of what a different class of acting Marlon Brando was in, that's your movie right there. Because it... And, of course, this is when he was all, like, jacked up as a boxer and everything. It could have been a contender.
Yeah.
And I actually saw this recently. It was on TCM, I think. And just his acting is unbelievable in this. It takes you to a different place. It's like watching Daniel Day-Lewis in his prime.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about Brando and why he's so revered is that when Streetcar Named Desire came out, people were like, whoa, we were used to this way of acting, this Cary Grant, Jimmy Stewart, who are great, by the way. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing, but everybody's like doing this, like sort of like, I don't know, just this happy, like hyper extended. And Brando comes in, he's so real and raw and everything. And that's where that all starts. We start to see more naturalistic acting in movies and everything. And, but yeah, that's one that, unfortunately never seen it.
Yeah. What are your favorite characters that aren't the villain, aren't the main threat, but are evil and insufferable jackasses in the best way? The example that they give is Percy Wetmore from The Green Mile, which is very interesting, who doesn't really pose any... I mean, he indirectly affects it, but isn't the primary antagonist.
Right, yeah.
So what do you think?
It didn't take long for me to think up Edward Norton in Rounders.
Oh, nice.
He fucks everything up.
He fucks everything up. And Matt Damon is so loyal to him and keeps like bailing him out of all these situations until finally Norton is actually putting his name on the line. But man, this the scene that makes you just want to kill him in this movie, like not punch him, but just kill him, is he gets Damon in on this cop game that he's like winning. Yep. He's winning it. He doesn't need any help or anything.
And he's close to getting the money
that he needs.
Very
close to getting the money he needs. And then suddenly you hear, hey, is that an elk? And it's Edward Norton coming in because he met some cop at a bowling alley and he's bringing him into the game and everything. And it's just like, dude, Worm, could you just like continue bowling for like 5 minutes and not fuck this up? But no, it's not just that. He just doesn't know when to quit. He's getting his ass beat and he's still a smart ass all the way through it. He's like Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool without the superpowers.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, that's the one I immediately gave to.
Good call. I have two that I want to talk about. Malfoy in Harry Potter movies.
Oh, yeah.
Not the main antagonist, but always kind of a thorn in Harry Potter's side. And then the other one I went to Biff in Back to the Future.
Oh, great one. Yeah.
Who's the bully, and he is an antagonist. But the real antagonist about these movies is always time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Racing against time, and he's just another impediment that gets put in between.
Yeah, and he's
them.
not really a guy who's like preventing him from going back.
Right.
It's just that, he's just a guy that he wants to. I mean, he's going to try to change through all this, but that's about it. Yeah. But I like that pick.
Yeah. There you
go. Inspired by our recent video for Die Hard 2 is Dennis Franz's character.
Yeah, man, what an unbelievable dumbass.
Every step of the way, he is fucking with John McClane.
Yeah.
Trying to just derail
and it's
things.
for no reason.
Dismissing anything that he says.
The movie just needs a naysayer, basically.
Yeah.
And they give all those lines to him.
But you would have thought that somewhere in there, there would have been a scene where like maybe McClane like imprisoned his cousin or something like that. Like that they would have explained it a little bit, but instead it's just like, oh yeah, I know you from that Nakatomi thing, and I should believe what you say, but fuck you, you're John McClane, and I hate you.
Lobby security, get this guy out of here.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's awful. And the other one I thought about was Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Because obviously Joker is the main antagonist there. And he's kind of just thrown in at this, when he becomes Two-Face, obviously, he's thrown into this situation to just kind of exacerbate things and just kind of, make things, if he didn't exist, you'd still have this wonderful story about Joker versus Batman and everything, and the decisions that he made and everything. But, he just kind of is in there just fucking with people and shooting them and kidnapping people and everything. So, that's my business. All right. In light of Wes Anderson announcing that he's making an animated film, what director would you most like to see branch out into the animated realm?
Oh, well, I wrote down Steven Soderbergh.
Yeah.
Because he's got a few different visual flares he's used over the years, and he's tackled different genres and different topics, large casts, small casts. I think animation is one of the only things we haven't seen him do.
Yeah.
That or an outright slapstick comedy. And just visually, I have no idea what that would look like. Yeah. And I kind of want to.
Yeah.
And so that's why I went with him.
Yeah. You could say anybody, like a prestige director, could direct an animated movie and make it interesting. But typically when you're looking at animation, you want something to be fun and funny and entertaining and that kind of thing, in the sense of like a Pixar movie.
Yeah.
And I think Danny Boyle could do it. Just because he's shown whimsy before, and he could do like almost like a kid-centric thing, because he's nailed everything he's done, from horror to action to dramas and things like that.
Drugs.
I think he could drugs. Yeah, I think he could totally kill like a Pixar style Illumination, whatever, animated movie, and I think it'd be super entertaining.
Yeah,
good call.
I went with Alfonso Cuarón.
Oh, nice. Good one.
Because once you watch stuff like Children of Men, and when you watch Gravity, and when you watch, even in his early days, A Little Princess, those movies are beautiful.
Yeah.
And I feel like he could make an animated feature that is just something we've never seen before. Kind of like what Linklater did with, Waking Life and all that. I feel like he could get into sort of a different kind of thing.
Well, and technically, from a technical standpoint, Gravity was so much CG, right, that he's already kind of shown that he can work with some kind of animated element and still tell a gripping story. I like that pick a lot.
Yeah, he'd be like inventing stuff to make it 6-dimensional.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
really experience it.
He would Wachowski that shit.
It might actually be a case where 3D would be worth it too. I mean, it's just, I feel like he's such an inventive filmmaker that you got to put him in something like that. Of course, this is a kind of question that like I could go off on, like so many different directors I want to see doing other genres and everything like that. But anyway,
Good pick.
If you could go to one concert of a fictional musical artist from movies, who would you go see?
Okay. Now it says one.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Oh, just pick however many.
I know. I was going to do it anyway. Okay. So, Barrett, who's going to go last because he has all the best ones.
Yeah, Barrett stole
you
all
can
the
feel free because I'm actually not going to use any of those.
You're not going to use any of those? You rat fucker.
I'll use maybe like one or two.
I'll let Jeremy use them then because I'm going to just go ahead and go with what I had. But all right, I actually picked a few bands on this one because Barrett stole everybody. Anyway, I'm going to go, I said I'm going to think with my dick here, and I'm going to go Crucial Taunt from Wayne's World.
I love that.
And
in the Donatello Ballroom Blitz.
Tia Carrere back in the 90s. Am I right? Tia Carrere, am I right?
Camera one,
oh
camera
my
two.
God. And I even want to see the band that they mention later in the movie. Well, actually, before they go in to see Crucial Taunt, the Shitty Beatles. And they say that they suck. And I want to see it. I want to see that band. Just because of their name, I want to see that band. Perfect name. I also picked because I mentioned Frank earlier. I want to see that band.
Yeah.
And especially because there's a really good song in there. I want to see more of it. Also, a movie that came out earlier this year called Sing Street, which had a bunch of kids playing. It's back in the 80s, so they're playing this 80s synth type music and everything. Watch them in concert. That would be awesome because they shoot a music video that's very clever in this. It's just very funny and everything. And I would love to see them just jam. It probably wouldn't be great, but it'd be awesome.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take Stillwater from Almost Famous that Barrett had threatened to take, but I'm stealing it now. Because this, first of all, they rock. They're, the few chances we get to see them perform on stage, that's a tight band.
Yeah.
And they're also a pseudo Zeppelin type stand-in band. They actually reference Zeppelin in the movie, but this is supposed to be kind of like Led Zeppelin. And I, of course, never had a chance to see that band in their heyday live. And I just think a 70s rock concert would fucking rule.
Yeah.
And I was 5 when the 70s went away. I hadn't gotten a chance to go to any rock concerts in the 70s. So that would be my first pick. My other one is a heart pick, and it's the Oneaters from that movie, a.k.a. The Wonders. Just because, again, I've never been to a 50s, 60s era sock hop style dance concert before. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 2 different ones from this century, actually, because what I threw out was like Citizen Dick from Singles and things like that. But I would love to see Sex Bomb from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World because it's just so raw and punky and that kind of thing. But my overwhelming pick, more that I thought about it last night, would be the Soggy Bottom Boys.
Oh yeah.
Because that seems like a fucking awesome, fun concert to go to. You think about it, those guys had never sung together at all, had never done anything as a quartet before. And they sit down and just fucking rip out that track. Robert Johnson's character, the guitarist, is just killing it. I think it'd be awesome to see those.
Yeah, and none of us said Spinal Tap.
Oh, yeah.
Which is weird because you'd think one of us would have. That would be a pretty cool experience.
And you know what?
Especially if the drummer explodes.
I admit that sucks. We didn't say that. So yeah, we would go watch Spinal Tap for sure.
Yeah, totally. That's our collective
One
pick.
of the things about Spinal Tap is that they actually have great songs. It's kind of like, now Spinal Tap does play in real life too, even though it's one of those weird things. They didn't make the band and then make a movie about it or whatever. It kind of reminds me of like Tenacious D. Tenacious D is a real band, but it was
a fictional band first.
Yeah, it's so yeah, I'd like to see Tenacious D. And you can see Tenacious D every once in a while. So, but anyway, yeah, that's a good pick.
You love clogging? Oh, do you got one more?
Dude, I'm totally into clogging.
All right. Who is the most underrated actor or actress of all time? For example, a great example. Should I say the example?
Go for it.
This person gives us Kevin Bacon as an example.
And it's perfect.
Very good. Very good.
It's perfect. He hardly ever gets credit for, even in A Few Good Men, where he's amazing.
Yeah.
But there's so many people in that and that's the reason why there's a Kevin Bacon game. He's in so many movies with a huge cast in it, and he always seems to sort of like blend in whatever. It's hard though for him to do. It's hard for an actor to do that type of stuff that he does.
Yeah.
And he's never like at a point where he has some showy role or whatever. Occasionally he does. Like Murder in the First, I think he really tries to like be that like a different character or whatever. But
I forgot all about that movie.
Yeah, it's not a great movie, but
Stir of Echoes.
Yeah, Stir of, yeah.
He's awesome.
He's always playing some sort of Kevin Bacon, whatever. and even in the movie The Woodsman, he plays a very different kind of character, but he's still very much Kevin Bacon in it. But yeah, that's a good one because I don't think he ever gets credit, and he's been good enough, I think, to get Oscar nominations. He's never been nominated.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even in stuff like Mystic River and all that got everybody nominated, he didn't get nominated.
Is that your pick?
No.
Oh.
I thought you just said, "Hey, is it okay to?" And so we started talking about him and whatever. I mentioned him before. John Goodman's the exact same way. Now, Goodman has probably been good enough at least 4 times that I can remember where he could have been nominated. I think at least 2 times where he should have been nominated, and that was The Flight and Argo year. But Goodman is universally beloved. He's kind of like Paul Giamatti in a way. But he hardly ever gets the credit he deserves in these things. And a lot of times he's playing a different version of Goodman or whatever, but he plays different characters. The difference between his character in Barton Fink and The Big Lebowski and Flight and Argo are different enough to say, this guy is a great actor. He does not get the credit that he deserves. So John Goodman to me is one of the most underrated actors.
Nice.
I misread the question and didn't hear the of all time at the end so I wrote down a bunch of like character actors people don't know the names
Well,
of.
I'm the same way. I was the same way about this question, and I think of all time kind of limits you, and I think you just go with whatever you want.
Well, I'm going to go with Stanley Tucci, who's not on my list. And I think the reason I think he's underrated is that he slums a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be in a Transformers movie here or there, but much like you were just saying with Goodman, I have seen him play so many different types of people: authentic Italian chef, gay fashion magazine mentor, and he just every time he's great. The dad in Easy A, he kills it.
And unfortunately, the only Oscar nomination Stanley Tucci has ever gotten is for The Lovely Bones.
For what?
The Lovely Bones.
Oh,
Jesus! The only nomination is for that movie.
That's a shame. Oh, he's great in Road to Perdition. He plays Nitty. I love that guy. I'm always happy to see his face on screen.
Yeah,
I don't
me
think
too.
He gets much love.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Average citizen moviegoer probably doesn't even know his name.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to go with Samuel L. Jackson. Well, there's 2 of them actually that came to mind. It was Samuel L. Jackson and Gwyneth Paltrow, and I think they're both revered for their talent, but they've done so much and they've built up this kind of image that overshadows their actual abilities, their actual acting. And Samuel L. Jackson, when you look at him in Hateful Eight, I thought that was an all-time classic performance.
Another guy who's great when he's with Tarantino.
Exactly. But I mean, even in a silly movie like Black Snake Moan or in something like A Time to Kill, where he can really do nuanced. He doesn't yell all the time. Even in Pulp Fiction, at the beginning of that movie, he starts that performance so quietly.
Yeah.
And he ends it quietly.
Yeah.
And I just really think that he gets overlooked for that kind of thing. Gwyneth Paltrow, I think, had that reverence early on in her career about her acting ability, but then she kind of just became a celebrity first and an actress second. So
and a mommy blogger,
a gooper.
She became a goop.
And sort of to tie in with your Samuel L. Jackson thing, including the movies that he's got coming out, he has 168 credits on the IMDb.
That is insane.
He's just in everything, and so it waters down his overall and everything. And when you see him in Pulp Fiction, and you see him in Jungle Fever, and you see him in Do the Right Thing and all that stuff, he's great in those. But then once he started kind of being a for-hire paycheck actor and everything, a lot of the good stuff, runs by the wayside. Of course, we, in this very episode, also talked about Kingsman, how he's not good in that.
Yeah.
The whole...
And also, I almost brought up another 2014 movie called Big Game.
Oh,
This is worth a watch, even though it's terrible. Basically, it's like somewhere in, think Norway, in this huge abandoned woods, and a father has sent his son off, 13 years old, to go kill a bear or some bullshit coming-of-age thing for this kid. But also the President of the United States has to bail out of his jet and lands in that same forest, and then he and the kid must work together to get away from the people trying to kill the president, and so on and so forth. Samuel L. Jackson plays the president. This is one of those movies that looks like it was financed in Eastern Europe, and it's worth watching just for the craziness. It's insane.
There was another actress, by the way, that I thought of when I did it, but then I saw the of all time thing, and I sort of changed it. One actress that I think is great but has fallen by the wayside is Anna Faris.
Yeah.
I think she's got the comedic chops of just about anybody, and something now, she was in all these scary movies, and that sort of waters down but that doesn't show how talented she is. And and as I see like Kristen Wiig, who I adore and everything, going in all these big movies and everything, it's like you could put her in some of these and she would shine. And just recently she was in that movie Keanu, playing herself, and sort of making fun of, in a way, Hollywood and her treatment of her and everything. And I was sitting there thinking, I mean, you're taking some stabs, but there's some truth there to that too.
Yeah.
And so I think she would be great. I wonder, sometimes I don't really care about personal lives and everything, but she's married to Chris Pratt.
Yep.
And I wonder, what is it like at that household? That guy is the it guy, and she used to be sort of an up and coming it girl and everything. And
well, she's got that sitcom, The Mom or whatever, that's been running a few seasons. I think it gets good ratings and good reviews. And so maybe she just focused. I know they've had a couple kids.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something about the sitcom life versus shooting a bunch of movies that allows her to spend more time with her kids.
Yeah. She also has a podcast that she records in her living room, apparently.
Really?
And it's very popular.
Wow.
Huh.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Well, anyway, I think that she should be in more movies.
Yeah,
whether
totally.
it's by her choice or not.
She's hilarious.
I love her. So anyway. Well, that's going to be it for this one. Keep going to SoundCloud and giving us your thoughts.
I love the interaction with you people. I mean, it's just we have regulars, we have conversations, we have calls, we have responses. Got some good-natured ribbing about our sponsorship last week.
Yeah, as I think we all expected, right?
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, keep it up. Keep it up, baby.
Keep it up, and just sock it to us.
Sock it to us, baby.
But anyway, that'll be it for this week. It is Chris Atkinson, Jeremy Scott, and Barrett Sher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit Cinemasins.com.
Let's just all say it was great.
Yeah. No, God. Man. Oh, no.
I love when he reads the list and just says no. I like
There's a lot of
exactly which terrible movie you just passed.
It was there's several movies in the 90s that are just swirled into my head there.
Wasn't the title?
I didn't think he did that in this movie.
A lot of Ryan Gosling movies people think are good or not good.
That's what it's and I read it, but he didn't say much about La La Land. He just said more about Ryan Gosling. And I was just like, this feels like bullshit. If you say that La La Land is bad, and then you don't have any reasons other than Ryan Gosling does the usual Ryan Gosling stuff, I feel like you clickbaited an article.
No, absolutely. Because I actually don't like Ryan Gosling. Like, I don't enjoy his performances. It's that, like, affected Brooklyn accent that he uses. Mm-hmm. But this movie, he didn't do that. Like, every once in a while, like, in the dinner scene and all that stuff, like, he'll kind of slip back into it. But he was, like, super charming and everything in this movie.
But yeah, I also saw the movie Passengers when I was.
I heard it's a disappointment.
It kind of is. The first hour of it, I really like it because it explores. I don't want to go into too much
I've
spoiler.
read a bunch about it. I know what happens.
You know what happens? So Barrett, you know what happens?
I don't, but I'm not going to see it in the theater. I don't think so. I'm good with.
No spoilers!
Kevin Spacey is Kaiser Soze.
Luke's father is actually Darth Vader. She's the sister and the daughter. They just
No. I'm reading the books.
Well, it's not like what the trailer leads you to believe, where he and she wake up at the same time. Mm-hmm. It's just him for a year. And then he decides to open her hibernation chamber. And so it actually brings up a pretty good moral dilemma issue and everything. And I thought that was cool.
Did he?
And then they sort of make it like it's all okay because if he didn't, then she would have died because blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I don't like it when you put something where somebody's clearly wrong for doing what they did, and then later say, well, it was a good thing he did it because that's results oriented, man.
Yep, exactly.
The whole second half of it, I didn't like because just the way that I was hoping it would be more about trying to get back into hibernation and everything. But instead, it's like the ship is in danger.
Yeah.
And they have to like go through all this action movie cliche bullshit to get the ship back and whatever. Lawrence Fishburne wakes up to be an ex machina, basically.
Nice.
He shows up. This is literally what happens. He wakes up. He happens to have all the keys to the things that they need that he hasn't been able to access for a year, and then he dies.
Wow. Wow.
Because he has 612 different... It's the most bullshittiest thing ever. He goes in this medical pod, and the pod tells him he's got 612 different medical things that are wrong with him that they can't fix or whatever. And like, so he just goes off and dies. And like, oh, well, good thing you brought your keys and all your like, your credentials and everything so that we can go into these areas of the ship.
I like how they've changed the marketing now. I saw a commercial the other day, and it was like pure popcorn entertainment.
Yeah,
that's the only critics quote that they put on there.
All the reviews I've read said it's a really interesting first hour, and it devolves into just a standard action film in the second hour.
Yeah.
So somebody actually found a comic book from ages ago, like talking like 50s sci-fi pulp comic book, where the story's almost identical.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And they didn't credit it?
No, I don't think so.
Because we were talking about the controversy with blue is the warmest color.
Mm-hmm.
That was a graphic novel.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I did not.
Nudity and everything?
I don't know. But the funny thing was, because both of our assertions about the controversy were true, that Leah Sadu said that she felt like a prostitute and all that stuff. And then she got into a war of words with the director. But then also the writer of the graphic novel came out and said, like, I don't know if any of the filmmakers have even met a lesbian, because this is not how lesbians do things.
Right.
The scenes are so graphic that I was like, I guess they just got in there and did it.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently they made silicone molds to go over their genitals.
Nice. That's the way you do it, man. That's the way you get it done. It's kind of like when I see these like nude scenes that are some sort of digital, like that's the digital body. It wasn't really me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but it's still kind of you, right? like it may not be. I mean, you may have kept your morals intact or whatever by not doing it, but aren't you still kind of doing that scene in the end?
It's like
it's an interesting conversation, right?
Even that girl on Game of Thrones did nude, then used a CGI nude, and then went back and did real nude.
Yeah, there must be some sort of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she was nude in season 6, and it was really her. There was a bunch of articles about it. And
yeah,
she had been naked in the first season.
Yeah, she was super naked in the first season.
And then ever since then, it's been body doubles or
she
CG.
got tired of having to do that all the time. So
it was her at first, and then it wasn't, and then now she's back.
But she did it because it was an important scene and everything. But you know what's funny about that next one that she did, that one that she actually did? I was like, this is so obviously just her. And then they shot the people bowing and stuff around her later.
Oh, she did it just like solo, you think?
Yeah. No, I don't think. I know. I knew when I saw it. Then I read it later when she was bragging about how she finally did this nude scene again.
She was by herself.
And it's like, well, yes, producers took her to a bunker or whatever.
All right.
Let's take you to the nudity bunker.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like 10 minutes of outtake material about nudity.
Yes. Absolutely.
We have classic.
We don't have enough. We don't have enough nudity on this show.